incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, local contractors working on the Southern Coastal Highway project say the unfair contract has cost them nearly $2 billion.
The contractors are alleging their Chinese counterparts are receiving better treatment at the hands of the NWA and the Holness administration.
The Chinese are being treated far better than us. For one, as I said, their claims can be settled in quick time.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the matter of the country's final appellate court must be settled in a referendum.
At least one prominent trade unionist has come out against members of the diaspora sitting in Parliament.
I don't agree that people in the diaspora, by virtue of them being born in Jamaica or holding Jamaican citizenship, should hold any place in our parliament.
CXC to suspend 4 subjects due to low enrollment.
In news from the rest of the world, Haiti's main international airport reopens nearly 3 months after gang violence forced it closed.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denounced his bid to arrest him over the Gaza war.
In headline, sports coaches of the top 3 Premier League teams reveal their plans ahead of Caribbean Club Championships.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, opposition leader Mark Golding says he has not renounced his British citizenship as it's not legally necessary for him to do so. But Prime Minister Andrew Holness says it's untenable for a person aspiring to be the leader of the country to be a dual citizen.
To be the ultimate leader of the country, you should have no other citizenship. There should be no question by your citizens that you have split loyalties.
The JLP's Pernell Charles Jr., who renounced his U.S. citizenship to become an MP, will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, should Mark Golding renounce his British citizenship? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, should dual citizens be allowed to sit in the Houses of Parliament? Public commentator Peter Espute and chairman of the board of Jamaicans for Justice John Clark will join us.
And at 7, chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court says he's seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders, including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in connection with their actions during the 7-month war between Israel and Hamas. You'll hear more.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile. Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio JM.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, May 20, 2024.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. A group of 10 local subcontractors employed to the Southern Coastal Highway project are alleging they're owed close to $2 billion arising from unsettled claims under the contract with China Harbour Engineering Company Czech. The contractors say their pleas have been ignored for nearly 2 years by the National Works Agency NWA and the Holness administration. They say despite promises made by the Works Agency to address the matter, their dispute with the Chinese company remains unresolved. They're pleading with Works Minister Prime Minister Andrew Holness to intervene. Mahiri Stewart has more in this report.
Despite the Harbourview to Yallas leg of the $59 billion highway being opened in February to much fanfare, the local subcontractors say there's nothing to celebrate. They're accusing the National Works Agency and the Holness administration of leaving them at the mercy of what they say are unfair contractual terms under the arrangement with the Chinese company Czech. The contractors say the contractual terms have left them out of pocket to the tune of nearly $2 billion. They say they have no recourse as the arbitration arrangements in the subcontract requires them to wait until the expiration of the major contract in 2 years before their concerns can be heard. The seat of arbitration is in Trinidad and Tobago. Owen Campbell of Build Right Contractors is one of the 10 local subcontractors. He says those provisions are doing an injustice to the subcontractors.
Now, the implication of something like that is obvious. It means all the contractors' dispute and monetary dispute throughout the life of the contract can never be resolved until the end of the main contract, which now may be another 2 to 3 years from now. So it puts us all into a serious monetary bind, as large sums for each contractor. The disputes continue to add, and at this point, if you were to add up the claims of all the subcontractors, it should be approaching $2 billion or more.
Nationwide's reporting on the issue in June 2022 resulted in a high-level meeting being convened by Prime Minister Andrew Holness with then Works Minister Everald Warmington, CEO of the NWA, E.G. Hunter, and the 10 subcontractors. It's understood that at that meeting, Mr. Hunter gave assurances that the concerns of the local subcontractors would be addressed. He specifically committed to addressing the arbitration clause in the contract. Nearly 2 years later, the contractors say that promise has gone unfulfilled. Repeated efforts by the subcontractors to follow up with the NWA boss have been futile. Nationwide News has seen copies of the letters sent to the NWA seeking an update. The last letter was dated March 6, 2024. There was no response. Junior Leslie of Alcar Construction is pleading with Prime Minister Andrew Holness to intervene and have the promises made in 2022 addressed. He says the contractors and their staff are facing financial ruin.
Our business is affected significantly in terms of our cash flow. It means that we can't clear our bank loans because we have to be paying monthly payments, at very high interest rates, 12% and stuff like that, what we've been doing for years now, because the claims are not settled or we can't clear our bank loan. With staff can't get an increase. I personally, my staff has not gotten an increase in 2020 because of all of these things. We barely have to hold on to a lifeline.
Mr. Leslie is alleging Chinese contractors are receiving preferential treatment from the Holness administration and the Works Agency.
The Chinese are being treated far better than us. For one, as I said, their claims can be settled in quick time because their arbitration clause is for Jamaica. The Chinese are allowed to use most of our natural resources without even processing them the way we have to process it. They just cut it from the hillside and just use it as is. Take it from the river, use as is. All the material that we cut or take from the river must be processed, must be crushed down to 2 inches before it can be used.
Keon Hines of NF Barnes says he cannot understand why there's been no resolution of their concerns after 2 years.
We had a meeting with him, and in that meeting, some assurances were given that a number of the issues were simple issues, as they put it, and easy to be fixed. It's sad that after almost 2 years, we've not had any resolution to any of those issues.
Repeated calls to the NWA CEO's cell phone went unanswered. When we reached out to the Works Agency, we were advised he was not in office. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the matter of the country's final appellate court must be put to Jamaicans in a referendum. He commented on the issue during an interview on Monday on CVM TV's CVM at Sunrise with Dennis Brooks and Yendi Phillips. Dana Davey reports.
There's a fierce public debate over whether Jamaica should replace the Privy Council Court with the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, as its final appellate court. Weighing in on the debate, Prime Minister Holness says the voice of the people should be a priority.
Our position is that a final court should be a Jamaican final court. However, whatever ends up being the final court should go through this process of an indicative referendum. The people should have a say on it. That's number one for us. People should have a say. And secondly, if we are having a final court to be repatriated, it shouldn't go to Port of Spain. It should come to Kingston. That has been our position.
The Prime Minister's position differs from that of opposition leader Mark Golding, who says the matter should be determined solely by parliamentarians. Legal and Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort recently disclosed that support for the retention of the UK-based Privy Council appears to have grown. This followed the court's ruling overturning the murder conviction of dancehall star Vybz Kartel and his co-accused. The Privy Council ruled that the men's murder convictions be quashed due to several jury issues. Minister Malahoo Fort noted that the rising support suggests Jamaicans are still not settled in their minds on whether they wish to replace the Privy Council with the CCJ. Prime Minister Holness says the situation must not be treated in an autocratic manner.
On the matter of the final court, because we are saying to the people of Jamaica, we also want to hear your view on it. It may very well turn out that the view of the public is that it should be the CCJ. So what we don't want to do is to go to the situation in prescribing to the people of Jamaica.
So
this is what it is.
So you have a position, but it's not a hardline position.
No, our position is, first and foremost, let the people decide it. What we would like to see is this, but really, the people should decide it. What the PNP is saying is, don't ask the people anything. Just go to the CCJ. Now, let's be fair. There are many people in Jamaica who have not expressed their view on the CCJ and are very silent about it because there is a view that is carried by persons who are authoritative in the society. But quietly, there are those who might be saying, you know what, let's think about it.
He says the decision of a final court should not rest on the views of one political party.
The other problem with it is that we need a process. In the same way that the issue of the Republic, we put it through this very intensive process of public debate. So too should that go to that intensive process of public debate. These are fundamental things, as the leader of the opposition said. And therefore, it can't be that because one political party has a particular view on it, then that is what we must do. It is unreasonable. Absolutely unreasonable.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Opposition leader Mark Golding says Prime Minister Andrew Holness's recent comments on dual citizens sitting in Parliament is at odds with the law. Mr. Holness says it's untenable and incurable for any Jamaican wanting to serve as Prime Minister or leader of the opposition to also be citizen of a foreign country. Norgay Banton reports.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says while he supports dual citizens sitting as members of Parliament, they should not be eligible to serve as Prime Minister or opposition leader. In a television interview Monday, Mr. Holness declared that those who aspire to be the ultimate leader of Jamaica must not have split loyalties.
To be the ultimate executive leader of the country, you should have no other citizenship. There should be no question by your citizens that you lead, that you have somehow split loyalties, that you have a parachute should in case anything go wrong, that you may not be subject to the full force of the laws of the country that you serve because you are a citizen of another country. You could always find a way out.
But in a quick response on social media, opposition leader Mark Golding stated that the Constitution does not support that.
I note Prime Minister Andrew Holness's remarks in a TV interview this morning. Neither he nor his party has made those proposals as part of the process of constitutional reform. His proposals are therefore not in the report of the Constitutional Reform Committee and will not be in the new constitution coming out of that process. Furthermore, Mr. Holness's proposals this morning are not in the existing constitution and would violate the existing constitution.
Mr. Golding himself has admitted to being a dual citizen. He's a Jamaican citizen by birth and a UK citizen by descent. Mr. Golding says he has not renounced his British citizenship as it's not legally necessary for him to do so. Section 39, Part A of the Jamaican Constitution says any person who, at the date of their appointment or nomination for election, can serve in Parliament as long as he or she is a Commonwealth citizen of the age of 21 years and upwards. According to Mr. Golding, the Prime Minister's proposal is consistent with a pattern of unconstitutional moves by his administration.
This is in keeping with his and his government's unfortunate history of past violations of the Constitution of Jamaica. It seems that the Prime Minister wants to make up a rule which is not part of the constitutional laws of Jamaica to suit his party's political fortune at a time when it is waning.
Norgay Banton for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Northeast St. Catherine MP, the JLP's Carencia Morrison, says by clinging to his British citizenship while he aspires to be the head of government in Jamaica, PNP President Mark Golding has displayed grave disloyalty to the country. She says the British citizenship fiasco that is engulfing the PNP president is not a mere legal matter.
It's an issue which concerns morality, principle, and loyalty. In his entire handling of the British citizenship fiasco, the PNP president has displayed grave disloyalty to Jamaica. And therefore, the question before us really ought to be, can he be trusted? The PNP president has displayed barefaced hypocrisy by demanding that Jamaica can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out of King Charles's territory, while himself personally having 1 foot in the UK and 1 in Jamaica, benefiting from the trappings of citizenship of another country.
MP Morrison says she was disappointed by media reports which have not been contested by Mr. Golding that he only obtained a Jamaican passport in his mid-40s. That's 4 years after he was making laws in the Jamaican Parliament as a senator. She says Mr. Golding's handling of the citizenship issue should call time on his tenure as opposition leader. Ms. Morrison adds that it's regrettable that the PNP president's actions have disturbed the process of Jamaica becoming a republic.
It is quite an unfortunate thing for Jamaica that after 400 years of blood, sweat, tears, and struggle by our ancestors, we have the actions of one British citizen standing in the way of our beautiful country, removing the British monarchy as head of state in any self-respecting democracy. Even if he now decides to renounce his UK citizenship, the position of the leader of opposition is untenable and incurable. And by incurable, we also mean it can't work. And in words very familiar to him, he needs to take himself.
Carencia Morrison, Member of Parliament for North East St. Catherine.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 17 minutes after 5.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay.
If you save, pay, borrow, invest, or insure with NCB, now it's time to own a part of the NCB Financial Group Limited in its additional public offer. For as little as $6,500 in the general pool, you can own shares in the business built on strong performance and making life better for all Jamaicans. Invest in our future. Invest in your future. Offer opens May 6 and closes May 27. Apply for shares at goipo.jncb.com. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news. The Caribbean Examination Council CXC will be suspending 4 subjects at the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC and the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Exam CAPE levels. This follows continued low enrollment by students across the region. Shalois Michael reports. The subjects are Mechanical Engineering, Agricultural Science, Double Award, Green Engineering, as well as Electrical and Electronic Engineering and Technology. CEO of CXC, Dr. Wayne Wesley, explained that the decision was taken following a decline in student engagement.
This is after a process of rationalization against the resources that we have as it relates to the uptake for those subjects. Agricultural science, What has been discontinued is the double major, but students would still have access to the agricultural science general paper. The next subject would have been that of electrical and electronic technology. That paper, again, is a CAPE sitting paper, which can be substituted using physics. The green engineering and the mechanical industrial technology, the mechanical option, also experiencing low enrollment numbers.
CEO of CXC, Dr. Wayne Wesley.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Haiti's main international airport reopened Monday for the first time in 3 months. Relentless gang violence forced authorities to close the main airport to all traffic in early March. The reopening of the airport in the capital of Port-au-Prince is expected to help ease a critical shortage of medications and other basic supplies since the country's main seaport remains paralyzed. However, only Sunrise Airways, a local carrier, is flying in and out of Port-au-Prince for now. U.S.-based airlines are not expected to start doing so until late May or early June. Before Monday's reopening, the sole airport operating in Haiti was the one located in a north coastal city of Cap Haitian. However, it was out of reach for many seeking to flee the country since the roads leading from Port-au-Prince to Cap Haitian are controlled by gangs that have opened fire on cars and buses passing through.
In the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has angrily condemned the International Criminal Court, ICC's prosecutor, for seeking arrest warrants for him and Hamas's leaders over alleged war crimes in the Gaza conflict. Mr. Netanyahu says he rejects with disgust that democratic Israel had been compared to what he called mass murderers. His comments have been echoed by U.S. President Joe Biden. According to President Biden, there's no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. He says the ICC prosecutor's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders is outrageous. The chief prosecutor says there were reasonable grounds to believe that Mr. Netanyahu and his Hamas counterpart bore criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. The ICC is also seeking a warrant for Hamas leader in Gaza for war crimes.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour. Local contractors working on the Southern Coastal Highway project say the unfair contract has cost them nearly $2 billion.
The contractors are alleging their Chinese counterparts are receiving better treatment at the hands of the NWA and the Holness administration.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the matter of the country's final appellate court must be settled in a referendum.
At least one prominent trade unionist has come out against members of the diaspora sitting in Parliament.
I don't agree that people in the diaspora, by virtue of them being born in Jamaica or holding Jamaican citizenship, should hold any place in our parliament.
That's Helene Davis-White. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 5.99% interest rate. Yes, shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 5.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 5.99%. Conditions apply.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The top three finishers in the just concluded Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League will have, at best, just a month break before heading back to training for Caribbean club action. Newly minted Premier League champions Cavalier and beaten finalists Mount Pleasant FC will go straight to the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Championships, while the third-place finishers Arnett Gardens will take part in the Caribbean Shield competition, which qualifies two more teams to the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Tournament. The draw for both competitions will be held around June 6. Arnett will be the first in action. They participate in the Shield competition at the back end of July, while Mount Pleasant and Cavalier are due for action in the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Tournament in August. Arnett's coach Xavier Gilbert says plans are already in place to get the team ready for July.
The plan right now is to give them 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks off, and then resume our training, and then take it from there. That short turnaround time, but nevertheless, we knew what is at stake had we finished third, and we just, as best as possible, have to prepare accordingly.
That's Xavier Gilbert, coach of Arnett Gardens. Rudolph Speed led Cavalier to their second title in 4 seasons yesterday with victory over the throne champions Mount Pleasant Academy, and he, like Gilbert, will only take a few weeks off before getting back to training. However, he told Nationwide Sports a short while ago that getting his team tournament ready might be a challenge.
The problem we face is that we're not sure I'll be able to get any quality practice games that period, because most Premier League teams probably wouldn't be training as they are. They're not in any shape or form. So that is really my challenge now, where I'm not get practice games from.
Rudolph Speed Cavalier reached the final of last season's competition, where they were beaten by Robin Hood of Suriname. Meanwhile, CEO of PFJL, Owen Hill, says the season exceeded all expectations, and he believes that they're heading in the right direction to fully professionalize the league.
Epic. It was epic. It was a number of things put together, a kaleidoscope, I would say, of feelings. I mean, it's a long season, so obviously there were ups and downs and a lot of highs, a few lows, but generally how it culminated, I would say, a fitting way for the 50th. We merged dancehall with football in an official way. We did a lot of firsts, and I think the eventual champions would have proven their level of consistency. The quality of play, I think, was pretty strong.
That's CEO of PFJL, Owen Hill. World 200 meters champion Shericka Jackson says she and her coach have identified a few more meets to ensure she's race sharp ahead of the national championships next month. Jackson posted 22.82 seconds to win the women's 200 meters at the Robert Diamond League meeting in Morocco yesterday. The 29-year-old says her main goal was to remain fit and execute a good race in her first 200 meters outing of the season.
It's my second race of the season, my first 200 of the season. I did not know what to expect, and Coach and I was discussing a few things, and I think we did pretty good, so we are okay. I have a few more races before trials. It's a bit late start to the season, but nevertheless, we have a few races to go. So it's just building from there, and we'll definitely peak at the right time.
Shericka Jackson. The West Indies will stage their first training session since arriving in Jamaica for their 3-match T20 International Series against South Africa. The team is due to train at Sabina Park tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. The games are set for May 23, 25 and 26. Both teams will use the series as part of final preparation for the ICC T20 World Cup set to bowl off on June 1 in Dallas, Texas, with the United States facing Canada. Jamaican opener Brandon King will captain the West Indies in the absence of the captain Rodman Powell and vice-captain Alzari Joseph. Their teams have progressed in the Indian Premier League, so they are not yet available. King says the games come at an opportune time as they give the team top-class competition heading into the World Cup.
Extremely happy, I'm always, excited to play at home. Last time we were here was against New Zealand, I think, a couple of years ago. So it's good that we get some cricket, especially leading up to the World Cup. There's a little bit of excitement, with the fans. So I'm happy about it. It's part of the preparation, It's good to match practice is something that you can replicate in training. So obviously we're coming from a training camp, and this is our opportunity to put those plans and skills in place. So we're very much looking forward to it.
Brandon King. The West Indies are in Group C for the World Cup alongside New Zealand, Afghanistan, Papua New Guinea and Uganda. They bowl off their campaign against Papua New Guinea at the Guyana National Stadium on June 2. And it's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact, sponsored by Fontana Pharmacy.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Did you know that Jamaica is the only country to have athletes finishing first, second, and second in a final at the Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Jamaican athletes finished 1-2-2 in the women's 100 meters final at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price took gold in 10.78 seconds, and Sharon Simpson and Karen Stewart both finished second with identical times of 10.98 seconds.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
And here's another piece of Olympic fact. Nationwide 90 FM will be the only radio station in this country will be broadcasting the Olympic Games, July 26th to August 11th. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Hyundai, the home of modern, premium, affordable vehicles. Call us at 876-630-1511. The time by Hyundai is
5:31.
You know, so through the new social housing program, the government has already given houses to hundreds of poor Jamaicans and will give over 1,500 more houses to Jamaicans in need. We are building Jamaica.
The temperature by the office of the Prime Minister is
32 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 30 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure, reaching out for more, we'll always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone. Taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed, that's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, by God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path. Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
The Oasis is brought to you by Solar Tech Jamaica. We use the gift of the sun to power our world.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations, the supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, Fast, secure, everywhere.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tyrone Reed. Top of the afternoon to you, Sir Ricardo. Top of the afternoon to our listeners on the 90 FM band and, of course, our viewers on YouTube. It's good to see you, my brother.
How are you, my friend?
I'm giving thanks, man. And you?
I'm good. Tyrone Anglia Bangla Reed.
Indeed. And, let's not call you what we call you on here.
Listeners, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says it's untenable and incurable for a person aspiring to be Prime Minister or leader of the opposition to be a citizen of a foreign country at the same time. The Prime Minister's position on the matter follows the admission on Sunday by opposition leader Mark Golding that he's a British citizen. Mr. Golding is a Jamaican citizen by birth and a UK citizen by descent.
Now, the admission has sparked calls for Mr. Golding to renounce his British citizenship or resign as leader of the opposition. Mr. Golding says he has not renounced his British citizenship as it's not legally necessary for him to do so. During an interview on CVM TV's CVM at Sunrise this morning with Dennis Brooks and Yendi Phillips, Prime Minister Holness said persons who aspire to be the ultimate leader of Jamaica must not have split loyalties.
To be the ultimate executive leader of the country, you should have no other citizenship. There should be no question by your citizens that you lead, that you have somehow split loyalties, that you have a parachute should in case anything go wrong, that you may not be subject to the full force of the laws of the country that you serve because you are a citizen of another country. You could always find a way out.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness there. Now, meanwhile, in a response on social media, Mr. Golding says the Constitution does not support Mr. Holness's position. Section 39, Part A of the Jamaican Constitution says any person who, at the date of their appointment or nomination for election, can serve in Parliament as long as he or she is a Commonwealth citizen of the age of 21 years and upwards.
I note Prime Minister Andrew Holness's remarks in a TV interview this morning. Neither he nor his party has made those proposals as part of the process of constitutional reform. His proposals are therefore not in the report of the Constitutional Reform Committee and will not be in the new constitution coming out of that process. Furthermore, Mr. Holness's proposals this morning are not in the existing constitution and would violate the existing constitution.
Mark Golding there, opposition leader.
Yes, Mark Golding, of course. Now, join us to discuss further this issue is Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon, Pernell Charles Jr., who had to renounce his U.S. citizenship when he was running for office. He was born in the U.S. Before Pernell Charles Jr. joins us, Ricardo, we have to tell our listeners and our viewers that every attempt was made to get someone from the People's National Party to comment on this issue. But we were not successful. We reached out to several high-ranking members of the People's National Party, inviting them to join us this afternoon. That includes the General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, who said he was traveling, as well as the party's chairman, Dr. Angela Brown Burke, and the PNP Patriots President, Christopher Henry, who said they were unavailable because they had a meeting. We also reached out to the party's deputy general secretaries.
And I happen to be aware that at least one vice president. Mr. Charles Jr., good afternoon.
Pleasant afternoon, gentlemen, and to all of your listeners. It's a difficult conversation. You can understand why people are unavailable. But it's one that we have to have. I'm glad that we are able to at least examine some of the issues today. It's a matter that for me is of particular interest because of my own personal experiences and what I faced in the opposition at that time raised a lot of issues and made a lot of comments which really exposed what is now being defined as political hypocrisy. But, there are several questions
and let me
which relate to motive.
Let me start with this question, because
Yes.
the opposition leader says there is no legal basis for the criticism. He says he's not a U.S. citizen. The Constitution as written, as exists now, permits him to have taken the course of action he has. How do you respond to that?
Can I tell you, the matter of the legal construct that arises from our Constitution is not one that I'm going to challenge. But even the way that he has articulated that response gives me cause for concern, and really leads me to question his own motives at the deeper level in terms of looking on his conduct as opposed to the legality of what has been done. You're talking about somebody, if I'm to be corrected, who holds a British passport and is suggesting that he has also a Jamaican passport of which he has sought to get a UK visa. Now, I stand corrected, but I don't see anywhere or any jurisdiction where the holder of a passport or a citizen could even commence the process of applying for a visa. It would be nonsensical. And so Jamaica would have to ask, what is the reason? What are you trying to hide? What is it that you are trying to create as a perception in knowing that you have a passport, whether it is valid or expired? You are a citizen, but you are trying to create a particular perception. It must be for a reason, and we have to ask and evaluate one's actions to determine their motive. Why are you pursuing this course of action? And for me, it is beyond a legal issue. It is beyond that. That it is now moving to the evaluation of conduct to determine consistency or inconsistency, and to determine whether somebody is seeking to deceive the country.
But Minister Charles Jr., in my conversations throughout today with my friends in the People's National Party, they say to me, in a globalized world, yes, this idea that a dual citizen should not sit in the parliament is really much ado about nothing, because we live in this globalized world where people travel, across borders freely. The population of the diaspora outside of Jamaica is bigger than the population inside, and therefore it's not as grave an issue, they say to me, as the JLP is making it out to be.
And I have no difficulty with that argument. That was an argument that was proposed in 2016, and it is the same People's National Party, the same persons who are now, using this as their argument, are the same ones that were against it then. And this is what the country is speaking about, the political hypocrisy. So we have to look on that. We have to ask ourselves, what is that telling us? That inconsistency must be for a reason. What has happened here, to be frank, is that you have an individual that has exposed themselves and has now been forced to admit and to declare status, which was never told to us before. And
I'm actually happy you've touched that point, Bernard Charles Jr., because I'd like for you to not leave that point.
Right? The issue the Prime Minister raised this morning is a critical one. And he has expressed an opinion that can be evaluated from a perspective of the illegality or legality, but also evaluated from the perspective of the importance of the constitutional role of the leader of the opposition. And you can't get away from that. This is a position which is critical. There is, in our Constitution, at Section 80, it is defined. And when you look on the decisions that we make in Jamaica as it relates to significant positions in our country, the leader of the opposition is referred to. And so what the Prime Minister is putting forward to the country is that the importance of these positions, the holders of these positions, must be individuals who can state clearly where their loyalty lies.
Bernard Charles Jr., are you hearing me, sir?
Loud and clear.
Yes, I didn't want you to go past that point because you made a very fine distinction, which is where I want to detain us before we have to let you go. There is the legal bar and there is the moral bar. Am I hearing from you that you're putting on the table here? Because I'm assessing this issue, and you can either associate yourself or disassociate yourself with these comments. But it does appear that the opposition leaders opened up himself to being accused of lying by omission, because he could have declared before now, when the matter was put to him, that he was in fact a British citizen, and he neglected to do so, emphasized that he was the holder of a Jamaican passport, and now belatedly he's now telling the country that he is in fact a British citizen. Has he failed the test of the moral bar is the question I'm putting to you.
I think that Jamaica will tell you categorically that he has failed. The fact is, someone can be a citizen of the Commonwealth and hold a position in our parliament. But when an individual seeks to put forward to the country or portray to the country something that they know within themselves is untrue, they are exposing to you who they are. Jamaica has to see it for what it is. When you come to the country and talk about having 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and telling the entire nation that they must divorce themselves from the vestige of this monarchy, of which you have a passport in your yard, in your safe, and you have citizenship too. I have never, of all the years that I've seen in terms of evaluating politics, I have never seen an individual at this level leading a political party be in a position as untenable, where they have said to the country one thing, but in their own actions done something else. The country has to see it for what it is. It's not just inconsistency. To me, in my opinion, it is deception at the highest level.
And does that then weaken Mr. Golding's position as it relates to constitutional reform? Because he has raised a roadblock. He has said he wants full decolonization. Does his position, which doesn't appear, based on what he said and what we now know, doesn't appear to be based in any principle, does that weaken his position?
It beyond weakens it. The whole fiasco displays grave disloyalty to Jamaica, and people have to now ask whether he can be trusted. Because when you then put forward the position of having a committee go through all the work that the CRC has gone through and come to a position that there's consensus on this issue of advancing the Republic, there is not consensus of the issue of the final court. Let us move forward with what we agree. And you say, no, I'm going to stranglehold the country to get what I want. What you're suggesting, not just suggesting, what you're saying is you're willing to play politics with the future of Jamaica. This is an individual who in every step, in his conduct, in his action, in his decisions, is exposing to you his character. I don't have to say it. Jamaicans can evaluate for themselves and determine whether you believe whether his position is untenable.
But I want to put that squarely to you, though, as someone who is in the political space, as one of the elected leaders of this country. I want to put that squarely to you. Based on the fact that Mark Golding did not come up front and declare, even when he was offering comments on the constitutional reform process and about splitting with the monarchy completely, the fact that he did not give the information that he was a British citizen, which is of material importance, has he rendered himself unfit, one, to be opposition leader, and therefore unfit to be considered even a future prime minister of this country?
But in addition to that, you're forgetting, this is somebody who switches his mouth at will. He has not only rendered himself untenable in that regard, but he has exposed how desperate he is in seeking political office at all costs to get what he wants. It's a dangerous, dangerous situation. Jamaica is in a fragile state of development. And so we have to call upon ourselves to really look towards leadership that you can trust. You don't always have to agree with me, you know. We can disagree, but you have to trust me. And the question is, for us, can he be trusted? My answer is no. He cannot be trusted, and he has exposed to you why he cannot be trusted, not only in relation to his own visa or citizenship, but in relation to the conduct and his control over the committee, and saying one thing, doing another, putting forward his own position, whether it means Jamaica is going to be held back from becoming a republic or not. And there are several other instances where you can identify where he has done one thing, said another. It's flipping here and flopping there.
Were he to renounce his British citizenship, would that cure the malady?
If he were to renounce now, I think that it would be a matter of him attempting to acquiesce to the public sentiment, but it would have no impact on what we now know was his omission, very deliberate omission. It would have no impact. As the Prime Minister says, he's in an untenable, incurable position.
And finally, I know we have to go to the break, Ricardo, but I'm thinking about this, Mr. Pernell Charles Jr., and my conclusion is, in my own mind, if you're going to be offering public comment on matters relating to the United Kingdom and Jamaica's relations to them, and you hold the office of the opposition leader, and shouldn't you have declared up front that, yes, I'm a British citizen? Isn't that also a conflict on the part of the opposition leader that he did not declare at the jump?
You know, one would think that it would be appropriate, and that's a matter for determination of each circumstance on its own. But for me, even beyond that, let's look beyond that. Let's say he didn't declare. When we now arrive at this stage where it is in issue, shouldn't you have just been forthright and truthful? The fact that you even now sought to omit and to lie to us, and you were forced, you were compelled to admit after weeks or days of being, challenged, that shows you what your character is. So somebody could have made a decision not to declare, and when confronted, just tell the truth. But he not only made a decision not to declare, he determined when he was confronted that he wasn't going to tell us the truth. He was going to continue and continue. The only reason why we know what we know now, and possibly will know more tomorrow, is because he was backed into a corner. Had he not been backed into a corner, Jamaica would have no understanding of the facts. So I have to ask the question, are these the real facts? Do we know everything? Is there anything else that we need to know? Could you really be the holder of a passport and a UK visa at the same time? And if it is that your passport has expired, how do you have a passport if you're not a citizen? And if you are a citizen, how would you, in any circumstance, get a visa?
We have to
Why
leave it
would
there.
a citizen of a country, whether you have a passport or not, that is valid, be able to apply for a visa? Wouldn't you be turned away and they tell you to go and get a passport? What did he have to do to get that visa, if it is that we're to believe that he has one?
We have to leave it
I
there.
don't even know what to believe.
We have to leave it there, Pernell Charles Jr., Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
All the best.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
6 minutes to 6.
Welcome deluxe, the cream cracker that rises to the top. So crisp, so light, so buttery. When you're good, you're just good. Hey, had the national flavor. You go off and buy this bag. So good. It's just so good. Welcome deluxe, the cream cracker that rises to the top. So crisp, so light, so buttery. National Baking Company, just so good. Let's go! Bag it and pin it, every rubbish in a pan. No dirty up the place, this happy we island. So keep Jamaica, keep Jamaica. Say make we do it, keep Jamaica clean. beg you listen to me please. No plastic bag, no fear blowing at the breeze. No. Proper garbage, disposal, recycle plastic, now make it full up in the streets. Pack it and bin it, every rubbish in a pan. No dirty up the place, this a we island. So keep Jamaica, say me could do it. A message from the National Solid Waste Management Authority.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
Live exquisite this year with new arrival black and chrome fixtures for your home at Unique Living. Select from a wide variety of rain shower systems, fabulous faucets, and stylish sinks to suit your kitchen and bathrooms. Get uncompromised quality and style unique to you. Shop everything new at Unique Living, Jamaica's leading shower and faucets provider. Visit shop number 630 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call 876-755-3661 to 2.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tyrone Reed.
And you know, Tyrone, you asked a question of Minister Charles Jr.
Charles Jr., yes.
Yeah, and I think it goes to the heart of this problem, whether what we've learned today is disqualifying. And I've thought about it long and hard. It has to be disqualifying. Unless he renounces, Mark Golding renounces his British citizenship, it is disqualifying. And then I think there are still legitimate questions that will remain even after, if indeed he does renounce it. I cannot fathom a situation or contemplate a situation where someone seeking to be Prime Minister, and let us be frank, who has a chance, actually has a chance of being Prime Minister, could be under allegiance to a foreign power. And I care very little what country that would be. In fact, I don't even believe that dual citizens from any country, Commonwealth or not, should sit in the Parliament, let alone occupy Jamaica House. It truly, truly troubles me.
That's the latter part of your comment there, Ricardo. I think it's a separate discussion with regards to whether or not dual citizens can serve. But let's go back to the main issue here. Is it disqualifying? And I agree with you, it is. And even if Mark Golding renounces his British citizenship, I think it's still disqualifying. And here is why. Mark Golding had ample opportunity to tell the country that he was a British citizen.
Yes.
And
chose to obfuscate on Saturday.
Exactly. And because he is deciding that the CCJ issue was a make it or break issue. And I on Confused Online last week, I came back the day after, on Thursday I addressed the issue, came back on Friday and I said this, that the fact that Mark is raising the CCJ issue to the level of us breaking ties with King Charles being the head of state of this country, and he's prepared to stay with the monarchy, someone who is a British citizen, saying those things, Ricardo, the conflict is clear and present. He should have declared this at the jump. He failed to declare it on multiple occasions, even after being questioned by the media. I think it is disqualifying. It may not be illegal for Mark Golding to be a British citizen. So he may have passed the legal test, the legal bar, but he has failed the moral bar. He has failed the moral bar in this matter, and I think he should no longer be opposition leader, prime minister in waiting of this country. It is that serious, I think.
And one would expect that the opposition leader, being fully seized of the history, yes, public sentiment, going back as far as 2007, and most recently that by-election involving Shane Alexis, he would have been seized of the public sentiment around this issue. Why he would not have renounced it before now, or even at the point where he ascended to the office of leader of the opposition and president of the People's National Party. I cannot understand that. I genuinely cannot understand
Ricardo,
that.
the decent thing to do when getting involved in matters of public life that involves something like us breaking ties with the British monarchy. And he's a British citizen, for crying out loud. Why doesn't he think that that is of material importance? He failed to declare it at the jump, and he continued to ignore the fact that he has British citizenship. It is mind-boggling. He has failed the moral test on this matter, and I don't think Mark Golding, he has rendered himself unfit to be opposition leader and the prime minister of waiting in this country. And that is my simple position on it.
And it raises the question as to whether his disagreement with the CRC's recommendation to do away with the right of Commonwealth citizens to sit in the parliament was self-serving. It raises that legitimate question.
There is that as well.
It's 6 o'clock. Listeners, we're going to continue this conversation at 6:40 with members of civil society, but that's all the time we have for the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan, and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
6:01.
Upgrade your kitchen and bathroom to the next level with Unique Living. They're the ultimate destination for all your kitchen and bathroom needs, from luxurious shower systems to exquisite faucets, vanities, sinks, toilets, closets, and more. They have it all. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call them at 876-755-3661. Elevate your space with Unique Living, where quality meets expectations.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the matter of the country's final appellate court must be put to Jamaicans in a referendum. He commented on the issue during an interview on Monday on CVM TV's CVM at Sunrise with Dennis Brooks and Yendi Phillips. There's a fierce public debate over whether Jamaica should replace the Privy Council Court with the Caribbean Court of Justice CCJ as its final appellate court. Weighing in on the debate, Prime Minister Holness says the voice of the people should be a priority.
Our position is that a final court should be a Jamaican final court. However, whatever ends up being the final court should go through this process of an indicative referendum. The people should have a say on it. That's number one for us. People should have a say. And secondly, if we are having a final court to be repatriated, it shouldn't go to Port of Spain, it should come to Kingston. That has been our position.
The Prime Minister's position differs from that of Opposition Leader Mark Golding, who says the matter should be determined solely by parliamentarians. Legal and Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahou-Fort recently disclosed that support for the retention of the UK-based Privy Council appears to have grown. This followed the court's ruling overturning the murder conviction of dancehall star Vybz Kartel and his co-accused. The Privy Council ruled that the men's murder convictions be quashed due to several jury issues. Minister Malahou-Fort noted that the rising support suggests Jamaicans are still not settled in their minds on whether they wish to replace the Privy Council with the CCJ. Prime Minister Holness says the situation must not be treated in an autocratic manner.
On the matter of the final court, because we are saying to the people of Jamaica, we also want to hear your view on it. it may very well turn out that the view of the public is that it should be the CCJ. So what we don't want to do is to go to the situation in prescribing to the people of Jamaica.
So
this is what it is.
So you have a position, but it's not a hardline position.
No, our position is, first and foremost, let the people decide it. What we would like to see is this, but really, the people should decide it. What the PNP is saying is, don't ask the people anything. Just go to the CCJ. Now, let's be fair. There are many people in Jamaica who have not expressed their view on the CCJ, and are very silent about it because there is a view that is carried by persons who are authoritative in the society. But quietly, there are those who might be saying, you know what, let's think about it.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Political commentator and prominent trade unionist Helene Davis White says she's against the idea of members of the Jamaican diaspora serving in Parliament. She was reacting to Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statement that he's not opposed to allowing diaspora members to serve in the House of Representatives. Abigail Bartley has that story.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness believes that members of the Jamaican diaspora should be allowed to serve in Parliament. He reiterated that position during an interview on CVM at Sunrise this morning.
I believe that the Jamaican diaspora is much bigger than our Commonwealth, and that the Jamaican Commonwealth is our diaspora wherever they are, and that we should allow persons with Jamaican citizenship to be able to serve Jamaicans in our parliament politically. So for me, it doesn't matter what other citizenship you have once you swear allegiance, being a Jamaican citizen, to Jamaica. That would be my stated position.
But political commentator and trade unionist Helene Davis White disagrees with that position. She says Jamaica's lawmakers should not have allegiances to another country.
I don't agree with the Prime Minister. I don't agree that people in the diaspora, by virtue of them being born in Jamaica or holding Jamaican citizenship, should hold any place in our parliament. Again, it goes back to the fact that persons sitting in parliament, members of the legislature, they make laws. And if you are making laws, I believe that you should be in a situation where those laws apply to you. If you are in the diaspora, have other citizenship, it could be that you make a law and when it suits you, you take yourself away, as Jamaicans would say. So I don't agree with that position.
Mrs. Davis White, who was speaking on Nationwide this morning, says she's also hesitant about allowing those who have renounced their Jamaican citizenship to vote in the country's elections.
Part of the difficulty that I have with the diaspora is the size of our diaspora. So we could have a situation where if all members of the diaspora can actually vote in our elections, we could have a situation where the majority of the votes are cast by persons
who don't live here.
Diaspora. Right? I don't agree with that at all. So I depart with the Prime Minister in that regard.
Abigail Bartley for Nationwide News.
Opposition leader Mark Golding says Prime Minister Andrew Holness's recent comments on dual citizens sitting in Parliament is at odds with the law. Mr. Holness says it is untenable and incurable for any Jamaican wanting to serve as Prime Minister or leader of the opposition to also be a citizen of a foreign country. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says while he supports dual citizens sitting as members of Parliament, they should not be eligible to serve as Prime Minister or opposition leader. In a television interview on Monday, Mr. Holness declared that those who aspire to be the ultimate leader of Jamaica must not have split loyalties.
To be the ultimate executive leader of the country, you should have no other citizenship. There should be no question by your citizens that you lead, that you have somehow split loyalties, that you have a parachute should in case anything go wrong, that you may not be subject to the full force of the laws of the country that you serve because you are a citizen of another country. You could always find a way out.
But in a quick response on social media, opposition leader Mark Golding stated that the Constitution does not support that. Mr. Golding himself has admitted to being a dual citizen. He's a Jamaican citizen by birth and a UK citizen by descent. Mr. Golding says he has not renounced his British citizenship as it's not legally necessary for him to do so. Section 39, Part A of the Jamaican Constitution says any person who, at the date of their appointment or nomination for election, can serve in Parliament as long as he or she is a Commonwealth citizen of the age of 21 years and upwards. According to Mr. Golding, the Prime Minister's proposal is consistent with a pattern of unconstitutional moves by his administration. That's headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
More choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for your home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest style. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The top three finishers in the just concluded Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League will have, at best, just a month break before heading back to training for Caribbean club action. Newly minted Premier League champions Cavalier and beaten finalist Mount Pleasant FC will go straight to the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Championships, while the third-place finishers Arnett Gardens will take part in the Caribbean Shield competition, which qualifies two more teams to the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Tournament. The draw for both competitions will be held on June 6. Arnett will be the first in action. They participate in the Shield competition at the back end of July, while Mount Pleasant and Cavalier are due for action in the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Tournament in August. Arnett's coach, Xavier Gilbert, says plans are already in place to get the team ready for July.
The plan right now is to give them 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks off, and then resume our training, and then take it from there. That short turnaround time, but nevertheless, we knew what is at stake had we finished third, and we just, as best as possible, have to prepare accordingly.
Arnett's coach, Xavier Gilbert. Rudolph Speed led Cavalier to their second title in 4 seasons yesterday, with victory over the throne champions Mount Pleasant Academy. And he, like Gilbert, will only take a few weeks off before getting back to training. However, he told Nationwide Sports today that getting his team tournament ready might be a challenge.
The problem we face us is that we're not sure I'll be able to get any quality practice games that period, because most Premier League teams probably wouldn't be training as they are. They're not in any shape or form. So that is really my challenge, where I'm not get practice games from.
Rudolph Speed Cavalier reached the final of last season's competition, where they were beaten by Robin Hood of Suriname. Meanwhile, CEO of PFJL, Owen Hill, says the season exceeded all expectations, and he believes that they're heading in the right direction to fully professionalize the league.
Epic. It was epic. It was a number of things put together, a kaleidoscope, I would say, of feelings. I mean, it's a long season, so obviously there were ups and downs and a lot of highs, a few lows, but generally how it culminated, I would say, a fitting way for the 50th. We merged dancehall with football in an official way. We did a lot of firsts, and I think the eventual champions would have proven their level of consistency. The quality of play, I think, was pretty strong.
That's Owen Hill. Arne Slot says the opportunity to work at one of the biggest clubs in the world was difficult to ignore as he was confirmed as Liverpool's new head coach. The Reds agreed a compensation deal worth £9.4 million with Feyenoord in April after the 45-year-old was identified as the man to succeed Jurgen Klopp at Anfield. Klopp, who had been in charge of Liverpool since October 2015, left the club following their season finale against Wolves yesterday. After the game, the 56-year-old German called on Liverpool fans to get behind their new boss, chanting, Arne Slot, na 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 na. Slot's 3-year contract at Liverpool will officially start on June 1, subject to a work permit. Following Liverpool's announcement on Monday, Mohamed Salah appeared to suggest he would remain at Anfield next season. According to Salah, he said, "We know that trophies are what count and we will do everything possible to make that happen next season. Our fans deserve it and we'll fight like hell," the 31-year-old said on X, formerly Twitter. Liverpool rejected a £150 million offer from Al Ittihad for Salah last summer, but the Saudi Pro League's director of football, Michael Emenalo, later said the door was not closed to the Egyptian star. World 200 meters champion Shericka Jackson says she and her coach have identified a few more meets to ensure she's race sharp ahead of the national championships next month. Jackson posted 22.82 seconds to win the women's 200 meters at the Rabat Diamond League meeting in Morocco yesterday. The 29-year-old says her main goal was to remain fit and to execute a good race in her first 200 meters outing of the season.
It's my second race of the season, my first 200 of the season. I did not know what to expect, and Coach and I was discussing a few things, and I think we did pretty good, so we are okay. I have a few more races before trials. It's a bit late start to the season, but nevertheless, we have a few races to go. So it's just building from there, and we'll definitely peak at the right time.
Shericka Jackson. The West Indies will stage their first training session since arriving in Jamaica for their 3-match T20 International Series. This against South Africa. The team is due to train at Sabina Park tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. The games are set for May 23, 25 and 26, and the teams will use the series as part of final preparation for the ICC T20 World Cup set to bowl off on June 1 in Dallas, Texas, with the United States taking on Canada. Jamaican opener Brandon King will captain the West Indies in the absence of Rovman Powell and his vice-captain Alzari Joseph, whose teams have progressed deep into the Indian Premier League playoff. King says the games come at an opportune time as they give the team top-class competition heading into the World Cup.
Extremely happy. I'm always, excited to play at home. Last time we were here was against New Zealand, I think, a couple of years ago. So it's good that we get some cricket, especially leading up to the World Cup. There's a little bit of excitement, with the fans. So I'm happy about it. It's part of the preparation. It's good to match practice is something that you can replicate in training. So obviously we're coming from a training camp, and this is our opportunity to put those plans and skills in place. So we're very much looking forward to it.
And King says winning the series is not the team's only goal.
I feel the guys are not here as yet, but I think the communication has been clear with the whole group. We know how we want to play, and the guys that are here, we're looking to implement that in this series and see how it goes, and hopefully it's good preparation for us. We have a way that we would like to play, our cricket, and this gives us an opportunity to put that into a game. So, that's really what we're looking to get out of it. Obviously, we're looking to win the series, that goes without saying, but everybody has their roles, and we're looking for them to perform.
That's Brandon King. And it's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact, and it's brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Did you know that Jamaica first competed at the Olympics in 1948? Yes, that's a fact. The JOA was formed in 1936, but due to the cancellation of the 1940 and 1944 games caused by World War II, the first games Jamaica competed in was the 1948 Games in London.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments. This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Did you know that only one of the 88 medals won by Jamaican athletes in Olympic history has come outside track and field? Yes, that's a fact. At 23 years old, David Weller won bronze in the men's 1 kilometer cycling time trial at the 1980 Games in Moscow.
That was Nationwide Olympic Facts. Brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
And that will do it for sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations. The supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Your voice matters, and it's making a difference. In January 2023, you are invited to share valuable feedback on the draft regulations for our National Identification System NIDS. Thanks to your input, these regulations have been enhanced and are now being tabled for Parliament's consideration. Follow the debates and get the latest updates on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Together, we're building a brighter, more secure future for Jamaica.
Do you owe the NWC? Don't worry. The NWC's Pay and Save program can help you. Yes, you can get a 10 to 20% discount off when you pay balances that are 90 days or older. And if you can't pay everything in full, you can enter into a payment arrangement. Take advantage of this great opportunity by visiting any NWC commercial office island-wide. For more information about the NWC's Pay and Save program, visit nwcjamaica.com or call 888-NWC. Conditions apply.
Who shops at Creative Building Finishes? You, the homeowner who creates luxurious spaces with our floor and wall tiles. The contractor and builder who are convinced that our ceramic tiles are right for the job. The architect and designer who make dreams come true with our wood look and porcelain tiles. Superior customer service, knowledgeable staff, inviting showroom, and you get where this is going, right? Shop 5 Red Hills Road or call 876-929-5553. Get tiles, get Creative Building Finishes.
Variety is the spice of life. That's not just true for entertainment, it's true for investing too. While stocks, bonds, and cash are effective, there are other credible investment options out there. These are alternative investments, ranging from digital options like cryptocurrencies to old school investments like gold, real estate, and private equity. You can invest on your own or via a fund with a curated portfolio of investment options.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robian Williams. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you for always tuning in. You know we like to hear from you, so we ask you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. It's an ongoing conversation we've been having amid widespread pressure from the ruling Jamaica Labour Party and prominent figures on social media. Opposition leader Mark Golding has declared that he is indeed a British citizen. The Gleaner newspaper says the PNP president made the admission in an interview with them on Sunday. Now, the article published in today's edition of the paper quotes Golding saying, "I am a Jamaican citizen by birth. I am also a UK citizen by descent. I have not renounced my British citizenship as it is not legally necessary for me to do so." Those are the words of Mark Golding as quoted in the Gleaner paper today. Now, there have been widespread calls for Mark Golding to declare the status of his citizenship in light of his position that dual citizens be allowed to sit as members of parliament. Now that he has, the admission has come, We're asking you, in our public opinion, should Mark Golding renounce his British citizenship? I know you've been locked in, listening to our discussions, ever since the conversation came up. So we're putting the question to you. Should Mark Golding renounce his British citizenship? I'll start with the comments on our Facebook platform. And bear with me, because if I don't read your comment, just know, say, I will leave a comment. Over 150 on Instagram, over 70 or so on Facebook, and not to mention Twitter. So just bear with me, going through them as quick as we can. So let's get to it. Winston says Mark Golding must go. Evelyn Beck for this questioning. No, why should he? He's a born Jamaican. Jamaica is part of the Commonwealth of Nations headed by Britain. What about some others who were born in England? And she mentioned some names that I won't because, may I try stay far from certain things. Del Brown says leave Mark Golding alone. Anthony Shake says he wants Jamaica to relinquish all vestiges of the British colonial past. He said it. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. Yet, he wants to hold on to his British citizenship. All Commonwealth countries are vestiges of the colonial past. Mark Golding should renounce or resign, nothing less. Nikki Becky says, all if him denounce it, Mark is too shady. Okay. Michelle Bernard says, no, make him tan with it. He lied. Let me see if I can get in some more. O'Neill says, yes, Mark can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the King's Yard. And let me see. Jermaine Donovan says he has the left foot in Jamaica and the right foot in England. He will have to give up his right foot if Jamaica becomes a republic. Prince Wellington is saying, yeah, man, he should renounce his British citizenship. What good for the goose, good for the gander, even though UK allegiance is allowed. Mark Julius says no, because he don't win the election yet. He can renounce it after he win the general election. What if he does that and then lose the election? What a walk, Pam Mark. Okay. Let me see if I can get in some more. Hopeton Cranston says Mr. Golding always calling on anyone from the government side to step down if they're in questionable situation. Time come for him to step down until he renounce his British citizenship, to which he is not going to do. Philip Jackson says, the good book says no man can serve two masters at the same time. Can he have 1 foot in Jamaica and the other in Britain? This is what you call Boti. Wow. Batting for the two side. Confusion. All right, to the comments on our X platform. Let me see if I can get in some appropriate ones, because a lot of things coming, people showing. Tevin Johnson says if he want to be Prime Minister of Jamaica, he should. If he choose not to, then he should step aside, but he cannot continue with his British citizenship. He should tell Jamaica what his move will be. Jay Brown says yes, he should if he wants to become Prime Minister of Jamaica, and he needs to do so post haste, not when it's politically convenient to do so. Wilson says either he resign or renounce. He can choose. Portia Prince says, I really don't care if he does. The issue for me is trust. He was asked just a few days ago and willfully played with the truth. That, for me, speaks louder than his British citizenship. Shanae says, yes, he should. Anyone who wants to be the PM should not have dual citizenship. Let me see if I can get in. Dion Mitchell says, yes, he should. Mark, as a current subject of the king, calls for full decolonization. He further states that Jamaica can't have 1 foot in and the other out. Why should he have 1 foot in as a UK citizen and the other out as a Jamaican citizen? Full decolonization. Annie Strong says yes, yes, and yes. He must fully decolonize himself and take his foot out of King Charles' Yard. Where he leads, JA will follow. Full independence for leader and the country alike. All right, let me go through some of the comments on Instagram. Councillor Tanya Lee says, yes, why should someone that's not fully committed to us Jamaicans try to seek office to lead any political party? Mark seems to want to dictate how rather we operate as a nation to suit his political agenda. Revelation says, how is his citizenship relevant to governing? That's a question right there. Well, the conversation is very important, and it's very important for us as Jamaicans to monitor it closely. Not even we as Jamaican, like, the diaspora. Everyone should monitor what's happening at this point in time. It's also a learning experience for many. Michael says, definitely no PM or aspiring PM should have dual citizenship. Loyalty should only be to the country that you're seeking to represent. Shav Replica says, renounce or resign. Hashtag simple. Willie Ryan Wilson says, if the law requires it, then he should. But we know that's not the case. As a Jamaican, I'd prefer my leader be a Jamaican with no other citizenship. All right. Orlando is saying, yes, there was a scandal back in what? I'm seeing some names here, but I won't refer to them. Janku says, renounce or resign. Let me see. Renounce for what? That's coming from Tasha Fierce. He is a born Jamaican and a Commonwealth citizen. Renounce for what? Musing says no, he's okay to serve as head as per our constitution. D. Mackenzie says he needs to renounce or resign. While Any Weather says, why should he? It doesn't go against the same constitution y'all here defending last week in no way, shape, or form. It clearly states that. And she says she got it on Google for herself. To the comments now on our YouTube platform. Bear with me, let me scroll through them real quick. And I will scroll and seek out the appropriate ones. Chris D says, one oath, one country. Winston Haywood says, time come, my leader Banya. Chelsea Clinton says, born and raised in Jamaica, he is a Jamaican. Let me see if I can get in some more. Nathan Gale says, Mark Golding is the Don. Is the Don man. Can't touch the Don. Okay, wow. David Nebar says, you can't fix stupid. Veronica White says, don't renounce, just go home. Time come. Chief of Staff says, a good leader leads by example. If you're telling the rest of us to cut ties with the monarchy, why was he attempting to hide his? Renouncing doesn't even make sense anymore. He's unfit to lead. And the statement ends with shady right there. Michael Bailey says, yes, big yes. For he have 2 feet in England and 1 toe in Jamaica. Whoa, okay. Marlene P. says, you can't serve 2 masters. Dale says he must be booted out. The question is irrelevant. It is illegal. It's a court matter. No. Godfrey Smith says, absolutely. Absolutely. Custis Brown says, time come for him to go. Barbara Bailey, Mark Golding has loyalty to none. Okay, fully disclosed says, including British. Oh, you're referring to somebody else. Kirk Allen says dual citizenship or dual personality. Okay, I see what you did there, Kirk Allen. Let me see if I can get in some more real quick. Sean Atkinson says, Mark Golding, he should not be prime minister. We don't trust him, and you cannot be prime minister with 2 citizenship. No. Can't happen. All right. It's an ongoing conversation, Wow. It's an ongoing conversation, and I know that we all feel strongly about it, or whatever the outcome may be. We do anticipate it as we watch closely and monitor to see, what will happen. Thank you guys so much for participating, but that's all the time we have for public opinion. Do stay tuned for the business report up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. The United Nations is projecting lackluster growth in Latin America and the Caribbean in 2024. That's according to its latest World Economic Situation report published on Friday. Now, according to the United Nations mid-year update, growth in Latin America and the Caribbean is expected to slow from 2.1% in 2023 to 1.7% in 2024. However, there's an anticipated uptick to 2.4% in 2025. According to the United Nations, regional growth remains lackluster amid still tight monetary conditions, subdued external demand, and structural vulnerabilities. Further afield, China has launched an anti-dumping probe into imports of a widely used plastic from the U.S., EU, Taiwan, and Japan. The announcement from the Ministry of Commerce The announcement from the Ministry of Commerce that it will investigate imports of polyoxymethylene copolymer, which is used in electronics and cars, is a signal that China will hit back in its trade disputes with the U.S. and Europe. It comes as China's trade rows with the U.S. and the EU have deepened in recent months. Less than a week ago, Washington sharply increased tariffs on Chinese goods, including electric vehicles, solar panels, and computer chips. In response, China's Commerce Ministry said the new moves would severely affect the atmosphere for bilateral cooperation and criticized what it characterized as the politicization of economic issues. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 83 cents to buy $1 US, 199 Jamaican dollars and 27 cents to buy 1 British pound, and 115 Jamaican dollars and 40 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's all the time we have for the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Invest in Jamaica and make your money grow. Invest in Mayberry Jamaican Equities Bond, a safe and purposeful way to invest. How? We carefully invest your funds in top local companies, empowering you to profit from multiple businesses, not just one. With a minimum investment of just $20,000 and an interest rate of up to 10.5% per annum, it's more than just growth. It's profit with purpose. Discover more at www.profitwithpurposeja.com or contact your investment advisor for full details. Profit with purpose. Invest with Mayberry.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
Catch the E-Zone with me, the Stinger Honeybee, alongside
Kareem Boy Ting.
as we turn up the heat in the street.
New show.
New vibes.
Same us.
Same us.
Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m.
Right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
We'll bring you entertainment news.
We'll take away your Monday blues.
You don't want to miss a week with us.
We'll talk health.
Well,
jump into the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss the brain buster.
Or the crazy giveaways.
I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger too.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Chewy flavor with delight.
The time by Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is...
It's 6:39. Good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks. And
I'm Ron Reed. Good afternoon to you again, Ricardo, and to our listeners and viewers on YouTube.
Right. So Prime Minister Andrew Holness says while he supports dual nationals sitting as members of Parliament, no dual citizens should be eligible to serve as Prime Minister or opposition leader. In an interview on CVM TV's CVM at Sunrise with Dennis Brooks and Yendi Phillips, Prime Minister Holness says those who aspire to be the ultimate leader of Jamaica must not have split loyalties.
There should be no question by your citizens that you lead, that you have somehow split loyalties, that you have a parachute should in case anything go wrong.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness there.
Yeah, the voice of Prime Minister Andrew Holness addressing that issue of dual citizenship. In the meantime, Mr. Goling, the opposition leader, says the Prime Minister's proposal regarding dual citizenship of members of Parliament is not consistent with the law, he says.
I note Prime Minister Andrew Holness's remarks in a TV interview this morning. Neither he nor his party has made those proposals as part of the process of constitutional reform. His proposals are therefore not in the report of the Constitutional Reform Committee and will not be in the new constitution coming out of that process. Furthermore, Mr. Holness's proposals this morning are not in the existing constitution and would violate the existing constitution.
Mark Golding, opposition leader, he has admitted to being a dual citizen. He's a Jamaican citizen by birth and a UK citizen by descent. Mr. Golding says he has not renounced his British citizenship as it's not legally necessary for him to do so.
Now, listeners and viewers, Section 39, Part A of the Jamaican Constitution says any person who at the date of their appointment or nomination for election can serve in Parliament as long as he or she is a Commonwealth citizen of the age of 21 years and upwards. The issue of dual citizenship featured heavily in the aftermath of the September 2007 general elections.
The PNB went to court to have 5 JLP MPs, starting with Darrell Vaz in West Portland, removed from office on the grounds that they were dual citizens at the time of their nomination and hence ineligible to stand for office. So joining us now to discuss further whether or not dual citizens should be allowed to sit in the Houses of Parliament are public commentator Peter Espute and Chairman of the Board of Jamaicans for Justice, John Clark. Gentlemen, welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Gentlemen, good evening and welcome.
Good evening and thanks for the invite.
All right. Peter Espute, let me start with you. What do you make of, first of all, Mark Golding's declaration that he is a British citizen?
Well, he is a British citizen. His father was British. But, you know, I'm not sure exactly what the kerfuffle is about, because the present constitution does not bar persons who are members of the Commonwealth from holding Jamaican citizenship. So Mark Golding has done nothing wrong. The question I think you all are trying to address, and quite rightly so, is when our constitution is changed and we become a republic, what should be the situation? And I appreciate the discussion that you all are having on your station, because the Constitutional Reform Committee didn't have this discussion in public. We don't know what they discussed. And I appreciate you all.
You know, I think I have to stop you there, Peter Espute. That's actually not what we're discussing, really. For you to... Let me just see if I can reframe the discussion here, because you've advanced that Mark Golding has done nothing wrong. He has been asked multiple times whether or not he is a dual citizen, and he kept saying he has a Jamaican passport, did not divulge the fact that he's a British citizen when discussing Jamaica's separation of ties from Britain itself. And the fact that he's a British citizen is of material impact. One would think he did declare that up front. Let me just frame it for you, since you didn't see where we're coming from. So I'm just trying to frame it for you.
I understand.
So that is one point. And two, so he omitted to mention. And
that's a different question now.
Placed on him.
You're asking me
After the pressure was placed on him, he then came out and said he's a British citizen. So you're saying, given all of that context, you still don't think Mark Golding did anything wrong?
Gentlemen, please. When you ask me a question, I try to answer your question. The question you asked me was, what do I make of the fact that he's a British citizen? And I answered it. But now you asked me a different question, and I'll answer that one. You're asking, what do I make of the fact that when he was previously asked, he was not fully forthcoming? That's a different question.
No, but you offered he did nothing wrong, given the context
he did
of
nothing wrong by being a British citizen.
No, but that's not what we're asking. We never asked if he did anything wrong by being a British citizen, though, Peter Espute.
It's not illegal to be a British citizen in Jamaica and be a member of Parliament. It's not illegal to be a Canadian citizen.
All right, given the framing then, that we just reframed it for you. I'd love to hear your point on it. Yes.
Pakistan, it is not illegal, so he did nothing wrong. What you're asking me really is, did he do something wrong by when he was asked, are you a British citizen? He wasn't forthcoming. That's a different question. Please don't accuse me of not answering your question.
Well, that is what I'm asking you now. Yes, he was asked and he didn't declare it. I'm asking you that first.
Clear in our language, because I am very clear in my language, okay? I think it is unfortunate that when he was asked if he was a British citizen, that he didn't come out straight away and say so. The question is, though, does this disqualify him from being a member of Parliament, and must he resign as the leader of the opposition? I think that this is overkill. This is definitely the silly season when the JLP and their cohort are trying to fight the battle, the next election from now. Trying to get, I think it's really quite silly. Why he is not disqualified from being an MP or a leader of the opposition by the fact that he's a British citizen. Now, is he disqualified because when he was asked the question, he obfuscated? Well, I would love to disqualify every politician who obfuscates when asked a question. I would love to do that.
Let me ask a more pointed question, Peter Espute. Do you support a dual citizen becoming Prime Minister of Jamaica?
Under the present constitution or under a future republic?
In principle.
As a principled matter.
No, as a principle, if we are going to have the king as the head of state, then a British citizen has the same head of state as Jamaica, so we are in the same state. And therefore, we do not consider persons who are British or Australian or New Zealand to be in a different state. And therefore, that's the present constitution. I
understand. No, I understand that you're making a legal argument there.
Yes.
But as a principled matter, considering the history of that particular clause, the history of empire, the history of colonial subjugation, are you comfortable with a dual citizen becoming Prime Minister of Jamaica?
A dual citizen under the present constitution is not a problem for me. But if we become a republic, and I really hope we do, it means that the king will no longer be the head of state. And that means that Australians and British people will no longer be in the same state as us. And therefore, I am not sure that if we are a republic, without the king as the head of state, that we should allow persons with British citizenship and Australian and New Zealand or Trinidad or Barbados or Guyana to be politicians and to be MPs in our country. No, I don't believe that. But presently, there's nothing wrong with it. But
John Clark, I'd love to hear your... sorry about it. Go ahead, Deacon Espute. Sorry, I thought you completed the thought.
Yeah, so we need to think out carefully the implications of what being a republic means. We no longer have the king as the head of state. Then we no longer have the same head of state as other countries. Therefore, this dual citizen business has to change. Right now, we allow dual citizens who are members of the Commonwealth to be MPs. That's legal. But I don't see how, as a republic, it can remain legal. It has to become illegal.
Right,
That's
because
my
that
view.
clearly is a continuation of colonialism. The UK wants to ensure that members of the Commonwealth are respected in every territory they once colonized, right? So it's really a continuation of that. But
then, John Clark, Mark Golding's proposal to the CRC has recommended to the cabinet that the Commonwealth provision be done away with. Mark Golding's recommendation contradicts that. He has asked that it remain. And he has justified that by saying that he believes because of our situation in terms of the diaspora and the size of the population of the diaspora outside of Jamaica's borders, that Commonwealth citizens, dual citizens, should have the right, even when we become a republic, to sit in the parliament. Would you be satisfied with that?
Well, ultimately, these issues are valid judgments. So many good Jamaicans listening to us will be on both sides of the fence. So you have persons who are dual citizens who have spent a lot of money in Jamaica and who have played many roles in terms of charity, etc., will say what is wrong with a dual citizen sitting in Parliament. And I hear what seems to be an agreement from both the Prime Minister and the opposition that to some extent dual citizens should be allowed to serve. Now, the other question, which the Prime Minister, I think, was raised for the first time today, was should a dual citizen become Prime Minister or opposition leader? Now, the Prime Minister indicates in a very forceful manner his personal view that no dual citizen should be Prime Minister or opposition leader. It seems as if that issue was not raised before, because I do not see it in any constitution that we have currently, that there's a ban on a dual citizen becoming Prime Minister or opposition leader. But what is important is that each citizen will have to answer that question for themselves. But for me, and for us at Jamaica for Justice, what is most important is where our leaders stand on issues like human rights, issues as
hold on, John Clark. Before we get to that, the question was when Jamaica. It seems that you're going to.
Allow me to finish.
Okay.
Because I'm saying that the real core of the problem is there's a view that because you're a dual citizen, it means that you have dual loyalty and you will not be able to deliver for the Jamaican people. But then there's some citizens who could, for example, be 100% Jamaican and sell us out, ultimately even as Prime Minister, and become the next Papa Doc and go to another country after they sell Jamaica with 30 pieces of silver. Ultimately, what we need to look at is whether or not the person's track record, whether or not the issues that they stand for are the same issues that we stand for. And many persons have different views on that. But ultimately, just to say, because this person is only a Jamaican citizen, that means that he is a different type of citizen and deserving of more loyalty, more votes, and more trust just because he doesn't have a British citizenship or a USA citizenship. Because I heard you earlier with Colonel Charles Jr., and I think personally that it perhaps was sad that we are asking persons to resign or to, essentially he had to give up his American citizenship just to sit in Parliament. And different persons will have different views on that. Some persons say it has to be done, and others will say it doesn't have to be done. But ultimately, what we must never forget is that the loyalty is not enhanced just because somebody decided I'm going to no longer be an American or British citizen.
So Jamaicans for Justice will be comfortable when Jamaica becomes a republic, having a dual citizen as Prime Minister of Jamaica?
No, Jamaican for Justice is comfortable having a Jamaican with 100% loyalty and love for our country, being a Jamaican. And we
regardless of whether that Jamaican is a dual citizen.
I'm saying there's no guarantee that because a person is dual or not dual.
No, I've heard that point, John Clark, but I'm asking if Jamaicans for Justice, the position is that you'd be comfortable as an organization with that outcome.
I'm not saying that we are, because we're not at this stage trying to legislate. But the bigger point I'm trying to make is that there are certain valid judgments to be made. And that is why
And has Jamaicans for Justice made that value judgment?
No, we can't, as an organization, make that value judgment for the citizen, because that is exactly why we have.
But you make value judgments all the time as an organization.
Exactly, John Clark.
And you recommend courses of action to the government all the time.
Yes, we do. But
so what is with this now? What is this reticence now?
I explain what it is. Today is the very first time I heard this issue being raised. I don't know if it's a red herring. I don't know if it's because of elections coming up. I don't know what exactly it is. But today is the very first time that the issue as to whether or not the dual citizen should be prime minister or opposition leader was first ever raised in my lifetime. I've never heard it raised before. But it's an interesting issue, and it's an issue that perhaps will have many discussions across many verandas, and including within our own organization.
So you don't have a position on it then?
No, I'm saying that we don't have, as an organization, the issue being raised today, we have not been able to sit down and have a vote and decide, well, what is our view? Do we agree entirely?
All right. That's fair. That's fair. We won't push you on it since you haven't discussed it with your board and whatnot. But let me read something to you, gentlemen.
But guys, the constitution reform...
One second, Deacon SP. Let me read something to you before we move from this.
What was that?
With regards to the issue involving Mark Goling, someone sent a message to me, and I want to read it to you and get your take on it. This person says, this Jamaican says, it goes beyond the discussion about the constitutional reform. In light of all the cases of dual citizenship and their outcomes, to have not disclosed that he too has a dual citizenship is dishonesty, the person says, and that is the bigger issue. This person believes Mark Golding was being dishonest because he was presented with several opportunities, John Clark, and he did not say, yes, I am a citizen of Britain. As the Jamaicans for Justice, you've commented on matters of national import having to do with our leaders time and time again. Given the fact that Mark Golding was not forthcoming, he omitted this, and it would seem to be deliberate because Mark Golding knows that he's a British citizen. It's not that escaped his mind. Given that, John Clark, what do you make of that as Jamaicans for Justice, one? And do you think he's rendered himself unfit to be Prime Minister in waiting for not having declared that?
Well, for starters, Mr. Golding's fitness or unfitness to be Prime Minister is an issue that the voters will decide at appropriate time. But I find the fake equivalent between the dual citizen case, which was a question being asked ultimately, are those persons acting in breach of the clear letter of the Jamaican Constitution? That is, are they non-Commonwealth citizens sworn allegiance to a foreign power and sitting in the Jamaican Parliament and therefore disqualified to sit in there? That's a different question than asking, is a Commonwealth citizen, whether it is from Britain, whether it is from Canada, whether it's from New Zealand, which I found to be a very silly provision in the Constitution, that they can sit.
This is breaking news from Nationwide Radio.
3 minutes to 7, and I have to interrupt this conversation because we've just had news from Jamaica House. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has made changes to the cabinet. The Prime Minister says effective tomorrow, May 21, 2024, the Honourable Robert Nesta Morgan is to be reassigned to the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation with responsibility for works. The Prime Minister has also assigned Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon as the new Minister of Information, in addition to her portfolio responsibilities for skills and digital transformation. Senator Apka Fitz-Henley is now Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. So to repeat, the Prime Minister has made changes to the Cabinet. Robert Nesta Morgan, effective tomorrow, is the Minister with responsibility for works. He has been reassigned to the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Senator Dana Morris Dixon is now the Minister of Information, Skills and Digital Transformation, and Senator Apka Fitz-Henley is now Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. Andrew Holness says the administration is steadfastly committed to fulfilling its 2020 mandate to transform Jamaica into a peaceful, productive, and prosperous nation. The adjustments will assist the administration, he says, in more efficiently and effectively delivering its policies and programs for the Jamaican people.
Nationwide 90 FM, continuing the tradition of fair, fearless, and factual reporting.
Apologies for that, gentlemen. The news just came to hand from Jamaica House. Tyrone.
Yeah, I think we're hearing you, John Clark, on the matter. I'm not getting from either of you, gentlemen, that you are of the view, as some have expressed, that Mark Golding lied by omission by not declaring that he's a citizen of Britain. That's what I'm hearing, and as a result of that, it's being suggested that no, he has rendered himself unfit. Some people are of that view who have looked at this. Deacon Nesbitt, I'd like to hear you on that. Did he lie by omission?
Well, there are, we say that a person has not told the whole truth. But to say he has lied by omission is not ethically correct. He did not tell the whole truth, but he did not say anything that was false. So he
but
was
it's not what lie by omission is, though.
We say the full truth, the whole truth. He did not tell the whole truth, but he didn't tell a lie.
Yeah, but the concept of lying by omission is not new.
No,
Does this fit the bill is what I'm asking.
As a theologian, I'm speaking as a scientist of ethics. And in ethics, we do not say that if a person does not tell the whole truth, he has lied. We say that he has not told the whole truth. And that is the ethical position.
All right. John Clark, did he lie by omission?
Well, the issue is, and it's a political question, was he required to answer the issue? And some persons will say yes, and for those persons who politically think it's a question that he had a duty to answer, I can see those persons saying he lied by omission. But they'll be looking at this issue through political lenses rather than legal or ethical lenses. I don't think it's unfortunate that you characterize the situation like that. Not everybody that has a problem with what Mark Golding has done will be looking through political lenses. No, I mean by political don't mean
people who have a problem with it as well.
Ultimately, that this is a question that you see. If somebody wants to be prime minister, these are what they should do at a minimum. So that means if I form the view that to be prime minister or leader of opposition, that person must not have dual loyalty, then if somebody is sitting in one of those esteemed office and refuses to answer a question that I think they should answer, then I'll say they lie by omission. But it does not mean that politically or ethically or legally that person had a duty to answer a question. But I could care less, because when I put on my own political lenses and I see what I want for my country, I'm going to say that person is a dirty liar, he's lied by omission, and will not be getting my vote.
So let me just ask you this last one, John Clark. So JFJ is okay with the fact that he was asked multiple times, he dodged, danced, and evaded the issue, and then when pressure came to bear, he finally said, yes, I'm a citizen of Britain. The JFJ is okay with how Mark Golding, the opposition leader, the Prime Minister in waiting, handled himself in this matter. What is the JFJ's position on that?
In relation to, so let's be quite clear, because in answering and guiding our issues, our response to that issue, I'd love to know specifically what legislation, what specific provision of the Constitution would require somebody who is a Commonwealth citizen and who can, by virtue of a Constitution...
But you're dodging my question, because it's not a legal question, it's a moral question. Is JFJ with how the opposition leader responded to this question and eventually caved in and said, yes, I'm a citizen, having danced around the issue so many times, showing his Jamaican passport, saying I'm the holder of a Jamaican passport, not declaring that he's a British citizen. And we're dealing with matters that relate to Britain and Jamaica's separation from Britain. I'm asking you, is the JFJ, as a civic body in this country, is the JFJ okay with how Mark Golding handled this matter?
And I'm saying that is a political question and it requires a political response, and JFJ is not going to...
A political question? How is it a political question? Don't you
It is a political question because
ultimately... do all the time?
No, man. Political is not only PNP and JLP, but politically also involves answering your own valid.
And I'm not saying political meaning PNP or JP. I'm saying you comment on matters having to do with the leaders of our country all the time.
Yes, we do. And matters that we comment on are matters that fall squarely within our mandate. They're not novel matters that was raised for the first time today as it relates to whether or not.
You know, I think that's a couple, John Clark. But I'll leave you. Ricardo, do you have any further questions? I'll leave it at that.
I do not have any further questions for the good Deacon or John Clark.
Gentlemen,
I listen to you all
I will give you closing remarks.
And I hear them dancing around your questions. I don't hear you calling on them to resign.
Say that again. I didn't get all of what you said, Deacon. Say that again first.
All the time. And I cannot count the number of times I've heard you interview politicians from both sides.
Yes.
And they don't answer your questions, you know, they dodge you. They go around the corner, they spin. I don't hear you calling for them to resign.
Yes, because you don't always call for people to resign if they don't answer your question. It's when they lie by omission that you ask them to resign, Deacon Dispute. He knew very well not responding to a question and hiding information is not the same thing. Yeah, so we shouldn't confuse the two issues. Yeah, and I'm surprised that either of you gentlemen don't have a serious problem with that. I must say that. I'm actually surprised that either of you gentlemen don't find that the opposition leader, the prime minister in waiting of this country, yeah?
With the truth.
No, but I'm not hearing that from any of you in your responses. And I quite frankly, I'm taken aback that from both of you, I've not heard anything of condemnation with regards to Mark Goling's handling of this matter. And it should be condemned because Mark Goling knew he was a British citizen. And he was asked the question pointedly several times and refused to respond. And I'm not hearing a condemnation from you gentlemen. And quite frankly, I'm disappointed. I must say that to both of you. I'm disappointed. But I give you the closing remarks because you're the guests here. I allow you to close. Deacon Dispute, you first and then John Clark.
Yeah, I think, you know, whether he's a dual citizen or not of Britain is neither here nor there under our present constitution. And I hear you all getting excited about the fact that he simply did not say that he was a British citizen at first, but he didn't say he wasn't. So you can't say he lied.
And that is the problem.
I have the fact that the Prime Minister's declaration of assets has not been verified by the Integrity Commission for the last 2 years. That is a serious matter. I don't hear you guys getting excited about that.
Oh, please. Do not insult
we have
us.
to we have to leave it there. We have to leave it
do
there.
not insult us, Deacon Dispute. That is
Peter
not...
Dispute, John Clark, thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can you believe this?
I can. I absolutely can believe it.
Accelerate your career with the right ally. Mona School of Business and Management. Explore our suite of highly ranked, specialized, globally competitive graduate degrees, including our internationally accredited MBA program. At MSBM, we nurture critical thinkers and innovative leaders, placing our graduates in a league of their own. Join the community of trailblazers making an impact at home and abroad. Apply online today. Global knowledge, regional solutions.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. In the name of Jesus, lock the guns. Nothing that we have tried thus far has worked to stop the rampant spate of murders that holds our beautiful island home in a vice-like grip. The many crime studies and crime plans have not worked. Changing the government, ministers of national security, and commissioners of police has not worked. Changing legislation and introduction of harsher penalties have not worked. Security incursions and curfews have not worked. ZOZO, Zones of Special Operations, and SOEs, States of Emergency, have not worked, except maybe for short periods in the immediate locale where they are implemented. Prayer answereth all things. Isaiah chapter 65, verse 24, King James Version. But we have been praying for a long time. The Watchman, admittedly out of desperation, is pleading with the perpetrators of the wanton acts of murder, dons, gunmen, and shutters, past, present, and future, in the hope that you have a heart of flesh and a conscience open to reason that can be reached by the cries of a desperate nation. Before you make another duppy, listen to my plea. The New Testament book of James, chapter 4, verses 1 to 2, King James Version, asks a profound question and then follows with an observation. It reads thus: From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not even of your lusts that war in your members? You kill and desire to have, but cannot obtain. You fight and war, yet ye have not. Not true. The Old Testament book of Isaiah, chapter 59, verses 3 to 8, King James Version, explains why no good can come of your murderous ways. I quote in part, For your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your feet run to evil, and you make haste to shed innocent blood. Your thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in your path. The way of peace you know not. Mr. Gunman, and Shatta, there are dire consequences from murder for you and the nation. Hear the words of the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 16, verses 17 to 18, King James Version. For mine eyes are upon all your ways. They are not hid from my eyes, and I will recompense your iniquity and your sin double, because you have defiled my land and have filled my inheritance with the carcasses, dead bodies, of your detestable and abominable actions. The words of the prophet Jeremiah. Most dons, gunmen, and shutters that I meet, and I do meet a lot of you in my line of work and ministry, have praying grandmothers and mothers and are touched by Scripture. Many of you strap yourself with a gun and a Bible when you go on your mission of death. But on the odd chance that any of you listening to this commentary are not so religiously minded, let me end my plea with a few lines from a song by Chronix. How you feel bad and hungry? You don't feel bad and hungry? Anything bad for dash way. Tell the rich man of foreign and the politician, ghetto youths don't need no more guns and no more ammunition. Dons, gunmen and shutters, on the advice of Chronix and in the name of Jesus, lock the guns. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Fast, friendly service? Check. Delicious chicken? Check. Get Quick Chick. Available at Grants Pen and Halfway Tree. Great taste without the wait. The time by Quick Chick is...
It's 13 minutes after 7.
Welcome, Deluxe. The cream cracker that rises to the top. So crisp, so light, so buttery. When you're good, you're just good. Hey, at the national flavor, you're gonna want to buy this pack. So good, it's just so good. Welcome, Deluxe. The cream cracker that rises to the top. So crisp, so light, so buttery. National Baking Company, just so good.
Azen Super Center in Midtown Crossroads, a place you've come to know and trust for quality and the best prices. Now, come see our expanded range of products, fine furnishings, kitchenware, your smart TVs, and all things electronics, and the latest in curtains, bed linen, and bathroom accessories. It's the new and expanded Azen Super Center in Midtown Crossroads with convenient, safe, and free parking. Shop with a smile at Azen Super Center.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
Winning by daylight and setting a world record 9.68. The wind is okay.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, KFC. It's finger-licking good across all locations island-wide.
(15 minutes after 7). Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. And at the top of the hour, we just told you that Prime Minister Andrew Holness has made changes to the cabinet. Effective tomorrow, Robert Nesta Morgan is being reassigned to the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. He will now have responsibility for the Powerful Works portfolio. Senator Dana Morris Dixon is the new Minister of Information, in addition to being Minister of Skills and Digital Transformation. And Senator Apka Fitzhenley is the new Parliamentary Secretary in the office of the Prime Minister. Minister Morgan joins us now. Good evening, Minister.
Good evening, Minister.
Hi, good evening. Good evening. Nice to be on your program.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Is this a reassignment? Is this reassignment proof that the Prime Minister was not satisfied with the job you're doing at Information?
Well, I don't think so. That's not what he has said. I think that from time to time governments make adjustments to strategically align individuals in the various areas. With the exit of Minister Warmington, there occurred the need for policy oversight for the Spark program and various other important infrastructure projects. And the Prime Minister advised that he would like me to oversee those things as the Minister without portfolio.
So I should take it then, this is you see this as a promotion then, Minister Morgan?
I don't view things like that. I view it as service, and wherever the Prime Minister, in his wisdom, thinks that I can provide assistance in serving the people of Jamaica, I'm always willing. If he sent me down to NSWMA, I'd be just as happy as if he sent me to the Ministry of Tourism, because for me it's about service and contributing to the development of the country. It's not really about a position.
But certainly to Tyrone's question, you are now in charge of a very powerful portfolio. It works, for example, you mentioned the Spark program, billions of dollars to be spent in the coming months in terms of roadworks across the country. You are now in charge of a very powerful portfolio. So it must be seen as a promotion.
Well, I mean, the public can make their assessment, and those who wish to analyze, as you are entitled to do. My job, especially in the last quarter of a term, is to not really focus on the title, but focus on what needs to be done. The Spark program is the government's flagship road program, and it's something that we really want to get off the ground. Well, the consultations have begun. We have gone to several areas. We've been into Eastern St. Andrew. We've been into Central Kingston. We've also been into Anthony Hilton's constituency, and the consultations have been very positive. People have come out. I would just need to get the ball rolling so we can put asphalt to ground so people can get the roads that they've been asking for such a long time.
And on that point about the roads that people have been asking for such a long time, the promotion puts you in the line of fire, because one of the major complaints you have in this country is roads. How can we expect your tenure as head of that portfolio to herald in any changes?
Well, the most important thing is that there's not policy policy dispersal. So the Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Work, would have articulated a vision, and there are various processes that have been put in place, and those processes need to be implemented in a very transparent and accountable manner. We've done very well over the last several years in terms of how we govern, from a policy perspective, the implementation of major projects. I have sat beside the Prime Minister, I've been in Cabinet, I've learned a lot about the implementation. The hope is, and the intention is, to as quickly as possible execute the SPARK program, the phase that we're executing now. Phase 1 is the $10 billion, where each constituency gets a particular quantity, and then phase 2 is the bigger national roads. For example, a road that costs $400 million. That's what phase 2 would deal with. And I think, based on my experience in the Cabinet, based on my experience watching the Prime Minister, observing the work that has been done, and the importance of ensuring that the policy that the government has instituted does not get sidetracked, I think we can get it done very quickly.
So more sleepless nights for you then now, Minister, given the significance of this portfolio?
Well, I'm used to it, I guess. I've been in the communication space for a time, and you are always on call. So this is no different. I think a big part of my role now is to be in the communities and in the areas and listening to the people and engaging with the people, so I can transfer their concerns back to the center, and I can hold the agencies and entities and the government itself accountable for giving the people the roads that they need. That is my job. My job is to give people roads, to facilitate the giving of roads, to ensure that people's tax dollars reflect the work that is being done in their communities and the benefits that they justly deserve. So you can call me the roadman. That's basically what I am.
The Moko division... Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, sorry about that, Ricardo. Given, Minister, there has been a lot of talk about your performance as information minister and so on. At any point, did you become weary of the portfolio? And did you indicate to your boss either way that, look, a reassignment would be welcome? Did you ever have that conversation?
Let me tell you, I have been in the media space since 2005. I own my own public relations company. I have seen good times and I've seen bad times. What I do know is that over the last, since I've been in government, since 2016, I have done, I think, a credible job in trying to improve government communications. It was the first time you saw such consistent post-cabinet press briefings. We had media days where the Prime Minister did numerous interviews. This Prime Minister has done more interviews than any other Prime Minister in the history. We now have a brand new media center, which wasn't there before. I don't know if you remember, Tyrone, the condition that the press room was in before I became Director of Communications. So, and then we have begun the transformation of GIS. I have taken on digital switchover and took it to a point where it is TVJ now has a significant amount of digital transmitters. We're just waiting now on the set-top boxes, and also the transformation of PVCG has taken place. So a lot has been done, but the fact of the matter is we are all placed in positions for a purpose, and if it is that you can be placed somewhere else where you may be more effective, then for me it's not a big issue. What is most important is what I did when I was there, and I think based on objective analysis, not to judge myself, some positive things did take place in the information portfolio.
Yeah, you haven't answered me, and maybe this is growing to me to call for your resignation. Because you haven't answered my question. You're dodging, you're dancing, and evading my question. So let me put it to you again. Did you at any time become weary of the information portfolio, given the I don't want to. There was a lot of criticism, especially in these latter years or so. And did you indicate to your boss either way that a reassignment would be welcome? That's what I asked you.
Well, I would never knowingly go to the Prime Minister and ask him for reassignment. As I said to you, there are good times and bad times, and my job is to absorb. You see, the information minister is at the forefront of everything, but he isn't really responsible for anything. My job was to transfer information from the cabinet and the government to the public, and essentially to promote the interests of the government, whether it be on radio or TV. A lot of people cannot separate Robert Nestor Morgan, the person, from Robert Nestor Morgan, the information minister. It was a job that I was given and a job that I did, and I did my best at it. So I would never go to the PM and say, PM, I need a transfer. No. And there were times when it was difficult, but I have faith in God, and I prayed, and my constituency prayed for me, and they came to the office and they circled me. I remember one day I went to the office and I saw 4 pastors there waiting for me. Said, boy, we need to pray for you. And I said, well, thank you, Jesus. You know, so,
no, but that's where you get a promotion.
I don't know. But the point I make is that, I mean, it's something that you're called to do. And I am not a quitter. I've never quit anything before. And as long as the Prime Minister needed me there, I was willing to do it.
Since we're on the subject of your constituency, the Moko division was lost in the local government election. Now that you have responsibility for works, you're going to be a pretty busy man. Do you worry that as a first-term MP, your new assignment could take you away from the necessary task of winning the seat at the next general election?
No. The constituency remains strong. Remember, we won the popular vote in North Central Clarendon, a fact that I don't think a lot of people recognize. We ran a very good campaign. There was anomalous things that took place in Moko, that some of it was within my control, some of it wasn't. There were mistakes made by me and others, and there were things that we did well. What we have to do and what I have to do as the political leader in that era, and we have already started doing it, is look at what we did well and what we didn't do well, and make better use of our political skills and time. So I'm not worried about the constituency. I am just going to do the work.
So is that you saying that you're confident you'll win back Moko in the general election?
What I'm saying to you is that as Member of Parliament, we will run a very good campaign, and we will do what is necessary to ensure that we get the votes out when the time when the time comes.
Very well. Expect, Minister, that you'll hear from me about my roads. I have some roads that I need to put on your list. But congratulations on your new assignment.
I will tell you, my phone has not stopped ringing.
Okay.
I can imagine. Well, you say you've dubbed yourself the road man.
Right.
So,
I'm going to hold him to tie road.
There's lots of work out there. People want to do road, but the potholes are hindering them. So
yeah, I've about 3 roads to put on your list.
But listen, definitely, and I will be, as usual, you guys know me, I'm always responsive, I'm always willing to listen, I'm always willing to help. So whenever you have an issue, my number is the same. It has been the same number for the past 15 years. So everybody has it. You can always call me, and I'll try my best to help as much as I can.
All right.
All the best to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, guys, and have a wonderful evening.
You too. That's Robert Morgan. He has now been reassigned, effective tomorrow, to the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. He has responsibility for the works portfolio. Senator Dana Morris Dixon is now the Minister of Information, Skills and Digital Transformation, and Senator Abka Fitz-Henley is now Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. Andrew Holness announcing those changes to the executive at the top of the hour.
Today, I think the Dana Morris Dixon is an excellent stroke, actually.
In fact, Tyrone, I have been pushing. I have been pushing for it. Yes, I thought it would be a good pairing, information, skills, and digital transformations. I'm happy to hear that. And I think
not just that. I think she has the persona for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you want somebody who comes across as one, believable, and 2, affable, because the affability will assist the believability. And I think Dana Morris Dixon may very well be a very, very good candidate for the job. I think Dr. Dana Morris Dixon might very well be a very good candidate for this job. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of political watchers who thought he would have gone elsewhere.
Yes.
But we see Mr. Fitz-Henley, Senator Fitz-Henley, has been appointed as Parliamentary Secretary.
Yes, in the Office of the Prime Minister. Yes.
In the Office of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
I think Dana Morris Dixon, Senator, Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon is a good pick for information minister. You saw the writing on the wall, Ricardo, with
Indeed.
those videos she was doing.
And
which
there's
were very, very well done.
there's a certain clarity in how she
Yes.
communicates that I appreciate as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, given what the JLP is seeking to achieve, with the general elections not too very far away, touching distance away from us, in terms of it being constitutionally due. I think the Prime Minister studied this one, and I think he may have made a very, very good decision in the end. But time will tell,
Indeed. Listeners, after the break, your call 630-937-124, 618-8255. Those are the numbers.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure, reaching out for more, we'll always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone, taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams, every day helping you succeed. That's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
Invest in Jamaica and make your money grow. Invest in Mayberry Jamaican Equities Bond, a safe and purposeful way to invest. How? We carefully invest your funds in top local companies, empowering you to profit from multiple businesses, not just one. With a minimum investment of just $20,000 and an interest rate of up to 10.5% per annum, it's more than just growth. It's profit with purpose. Discover more at www.profitwithpurposeja.com or contact your investment advisor for full details. Profit with purpose. Invest with Mayberry.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
Winning by daylight and setting a world record, 9.68. The wind is okay.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, KFC. It's finger-licking good across all locations island-wide.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 5.99% interest rate. Yes, shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 5.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 5.99%. Conditions apply.
My Mega Mart, best value by far.
With so much to do in one location, make Mega Mart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Mega Mart, the best value by far.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're on the final lap, 630-937-124, 618-8255. We're taking your calls. Michael, good evening.
Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Tyrone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Ricardo Brooks is here as well.
He actually said good evening to me first, but all right.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. I was helping you. Go ahead, Michael.
Let me get clarity here. Did Mark Golden's case that he has a Jamaican passport have to apply for visas to go to the US or UK?
Yes, he said so in a post, I believe, on Saturday. He said he had to apply for visas for the US and the UK.
How then can the chairman of the board of Jamaica for Justice in your life
Say that again? I didn't hear that.
How then can the chairman of the board, I think that's who it is, John Clark,
Yes.
can say he did not hear a lie or that he didn't hear that?
Yeah, so there's need for clarity on the statement Mark Golding issued on Saturday, because I am not clear on why or how he would need to apply for a UK visa if he is indeed a British citizen. That part isn't clear to me.
But the question is, has he ever applied for a UK visa?
Well, he says he has, based on his statement.
I don't see how that will be possible.
Right, which is what I'm saying. It requires clarification. I'm not clear on it myself.
You see, I have held this view for quite some time now, that Jamaican justice is not what they're against suggest. I think it's political, and it plays out the evening. Yeah, it plays out the evening. They dance around the question. They know the issue normally is of the case. Is that so?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, there's no credibility, man. No credibility whatsoever. Because he's going to say that he didn't hear a lie when there are so many things. Bill Marco at one point said that he doesn't have British citizenship.
I don't think that's what he said. I think he said, back in the day, he said that he would renounce it.
Well, I found a tweet he made, or a post on the platform formerly known as Twitter. He made this post on the 18th, May 18, yes? It says, I'm a born Jamaican and have a Jamaican passport. I've never hidden the fact that my father, who came to Jamaica from the UK, had got me a British passport when I was a young child. From before first serving in government, I travel on my Jamaican passport when I go abroad. Like other Jamaicans, I apply for visas from countries such as the US and the UK to go there. That's what he says. I'm on Barnia, but the local government elections and recent polls seem to be driving some to grasp at straws. And then he goes back into the constitutional matters. He says, now back to the issue of constitutional reform. Jamaica is in the Commonwealth, and our current constitution requires Commonwealth citizenship and at least 1 year's residence in Jamaica in order to be eligible to be a parliamentarian. Over the years, parliamentary candidates and with Commonwealth passports have therefore legitimately participated in general elections to become MPs and sat in the Senate. On the other hand, the current constitution prohibits non-Commonwealth citizens who have pledged foreign allegiance from being parliamentarians. The constitutional reform process should reconsider the current rule and make it accord with the realities of the Jamaican experience. So it basically says that I apply for visas from countries such as the US and the UK to go there. He did say that. How does that dovetail or accord with him being a citizen of Britain? Why would you need a visa? Ricardo, help me out here.
No, I'm not clear. Yeah, I'm not clear. I'm wondering if the visa was to be placed in the Jamaican passport, but again, if you're a citizen, it's not clear to me. It's not clear to me. And I don't want to hazard a guess.
All right.
Well, the last thing I see on this matter is that Mark Golding didn't lie by omission. He stated false.
Sorry, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Mark Golding didn't what?
He did not lie by omission. He stated falsely.
He stated falsely?
Yes.
No, I'm not sure I'm going to go
stated
there with
what falsely? Yeah.
Yeah. What falsely is what? Yes. You need to explain that.
When he said that he applied for a visa to travel to the US or UK like everyone else, it's not true.
Well, how do you have evidence of that?
Right, because I don't know, because I'm assuming, and this is a stretch because I'm not sure. Perhaps the visa is to go into the Jamaican passport, but again, I don't know if a country issues visas to its own citizens. So that part isn't clear. And in 2022, he was quoted in a newspaper article as saying he would not renew his UK passport as it would not be appropriate. So that suggests that he only has a Jamaican passport at this point? Again, not clear. Mr. Golding would have to clarify those things.
We can't go down that road to say that, he because we do have any evidence of that. He clearly omitted things. That is clear for everyone to see, but we can't go down that road with it. But thank you for the call, man.
I appreciate the call. Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Reid, and good evening, Mr. Brooks.
Greetings.
Good evening, Faithful.
I'm a bit troubled by the statement of Mr. Golding when he uses the word, we want a clean break from both the monarchy and the Privy Council. But yes, at the same time, he have a British past. He is a British citizen. How does that go? How about two things fit? I don't get it. Could you tell me what two things fit?
Again, I can't answer that question. What I will do, what I'll commit to do, and I have it in my notebook, is to call the British High Commission tomorrow and seek some clarity on that. Under what circumstances would it issue a visa, if it would at all, a visa to one of its own citizens?
All right. You see, one of the problems that I keep saying at all time, too much of us in Jamaica are too much of a hypocrite. Most of the time we pretend to be who we are not. Most of us that commenting, we are so political, and we are putting a preserve as to say we are not when we are who we are. The two gentlemen that you have on this evening, I'm going to be honest to you. I am not disappointed with Mr. Peter. Peter is always going to be with Peter, and he's pretending. What the question you asked him about Mr. Golden, what that have to do with Andrew Declaration? With Andrew Declaration, that is not the integrity coming to say why they don't certify him. Is that no? Or in jump from point A to point B, trying to muddy the water because.
And it's important. It's also important, Faithful, for us to say, because I think Deacon Espute suggested that, or my understanding was, you were suggesting that the question has not been raised on Nationwide. And I just want to clarify that Nationwide has repeatedly said that it is a matter for the Integrity Commission to explain by way of a special report to the Parliament or in its upcoming annual report. Because I understand that, they say that they're constrained by the gag clause. But it doesn't appear that there's anything preventing them from taking a special report.
It's not true that they are
right. So that people can gain access to information. As a matter of fact, we also call on Prime Minister Holness to offer further and better particulars as well.
And on every occasion that I've had a chance to ask the Prime Minister a question, I've asked him about it, and he has given updates.
But the point I'm making.
He has given
and just to correct something as well, and I see someone keep stating it in the YouTube chat as well. The issue is not for Prime Minister Holness to declare his assets. He has made the declarations. The Integrity Commission says they can't certify it.
Right.
Now, we've asked the Prime Minister's come forward. Once again, Faithful, the Prime Minister's come forward to say he doesn't know why they haven't certified his declarations.
Right.
He doesn't have more information than the public has. Because we were calling on the Prime Minister to say something about this issue. You can't just remain silent with the Integrity Commission saying we can't certify. So it is within now the remit of the Integrity Commission to say something. It's an important issue, and they should say something to the nation's parliament, so that this matter can be put to rest.
Yes.
I agree.
So to make the league, that's where I'm going to make the league to say the Prime Minister have not been certified. It's not for the Prime Minister, it's for the Integrity to do so, and they can do so to the Parliament. It's because they didn't take a comment and everybody's trying to make it good for them. But who they don't like, they can't show more that. And that's hypocrisy. And Peter know better. I heard Mr. Espute on the next program discrediting the police crime statistic. When it doesn't suit them, when it suit them, they agree with the police. But when the crime is going on and it don't fit the narrative, they go against it, and that's hypocrisy. And they believe because they are so bright and so eloquent, they can fool everybody.
All right, Faithful.
Come on, man.
Thank you, Faithful.
Thanks for the call.
Ricardo, I mean, it's an issue that lingers. and listeners and viewers, the Integrity Commission cannot allow this matter to remain like this. They must put this matter to bed. They are the ones who are unable to certify. They should say why.
Yes. And as my reading of the law, that it doesn't appear to me that there's anything preventing them from tabling a special report in the Parliament explaining or making a comment on what is constraining them.
Yeah, it can't be acceptable, this state of affairs, though. And it's not simply the Prime Minister's fault. Yeah, the Integrity Commission needs to say something about this.
Norman, good evening.
Good evening,
Norman.
Ricardo. Good evening, Tyrone. The interview with those two gentlemen this evening. Honestly, I'm not very surprised, but I am happy that it happened to both you guys, because I heard the distress when you were interviewing them, and they were not even willing to acknowledge that, there was any kind of egregious action. My experience is that whenever the little guys, the common man in the street, call your program and say to you, that these guys are sympathetic to the PNPR, so you always say, oh, you think that they are Jamaican for justice is fair and they are civil society and so on. But when you see what they put out, and I noticed that whenever the issue are released,
hold on, let me stop you. Let me stop you right there, Norman, because I have been one of the persons on this station to defend Jamaicans for justice, and let me explain. All right, so I don't have a problem with a civil society organization having a particular worldview or an ideological bent. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is when you all call nationwide and suggest that Jamaicans for Justice is some kind of nefarious organization that is only interested in supporting the rights of gunmen. That is what I usually shut down. I don't. That's what I usually shut down. Now, as to whether Jamaicans for Justice has an ideological bent or a particular worldview, I think that's a legitimate debate that can be had.
Well, that's a very diplomatic way of putting it.
No, but it's not just JFJ. Civil society groups the world over will have that.
Have to be fair in a man.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes Deacon Stewart, he wrote an article in the Gleaner last week about the CRC.
Yes.
It could have been a release from the PNP. It's as if they are talking points that everybody have.
Yeah, he's been particularly critical of the government. He has, and I've noticed his articles. The tone and tenor has ramped up in recent months. That I can confirm. I have read them.
But Ricardo, they have never come on your program and say, I am sympathetic to this side or that side. They come on as neutral to the people of Jamaica, including Jamaican for Justice. The lady that speaks for Jamaican for Justice, I have never heard her say one thing that would be supportive of the government. But, let me tell you, don't discount the common sense of the little. I have a friend who always tell me about the opinion of the man in the back of the minibus going home and listening to the radio.
Mm-hmm.
That man is who the wider public is in, and they have their own value system that they farm.
Yes.
Now, listening to these two guys this evening, they have discredited, or they have not discredited, they have damaged the credibility that these two public commentators have, because people know where they are. They couldn't even come to you or even give you an inch to say that no, this was an omission. That because I have an idea for a cartoon. I don't know if the Observer would print it, but I would normally draw the politicians at a podium speaking strongly and so on so. I would want them to draw Mr. Golding at a podium speaking, and we want full decolonization, full break from the king and full break from the Privy Council. But then when you look in his back pocket, you see the British passport showing. That's my idea.
And the fact that they can't come to I must tell you, I said I was disappointed, and I was that the guests couldn't bring themselves to the point to say that yes, this thing is it raises questions. Don't tell me this is a new issue. And then trying to split hairs to say
Yes,
yeah,
it is legal.
it's not a legal issue. It's a moral issue.
Ricardo,
He has
so think
failed the
about it,
moral
man.
bar on this matter.
This dual citizen person is not trying to be a member of parliament, you know. He's trying to be prime minister of us, of Jamaica.
No, but if
And
you're
and you are hiding from us the very fact that you have another allegiance. If them can't see where it is wrong, then
but as a simple matter though, my brother, a simple matter of engaging in public affairs, conflict of interest. If you know that a conflict exists, you should declare it. Yes?
Yes.
We are talking about breaking ties with the monarchy, and you're saying I'm prepared to stay with the monarchy unless you accede to the CCJ in its appellate jurisdiction. And you're a British citizen. You don't see the conflict of interest there.
The part that sticks with me, you know, is when the man come out striding and say, listen,
can't have one
we're
foot
not
in and
going
one
there,
foot
you know.
out.
We want full decolonization because I am willing to wait because I want a full, I want justice to my sons. I want a proper constitution for my sons and daughters and so on and so forth. While he didn't even put it on the table that he's a British citizen. The passport in my pocket. Come on.
It's a clear conflict that he should have declared. He should have declared to the country, I'm the holder of our British citizenship. He should have declared that. There's no way you can be commenting on these matters of national import publicly and having a decision as to how the reform process goes, and don't declare that you are a citizen of Britain. It is laughable, really.
No, but Baron, I would love to be a fly on the wall in a room with Mr. Patterson, Mr. Hugh Small, probably Dr. Light Barnett. Those guys, what is the guy named Michael Hilton? All of those, Bert Samuels. I want to be in a room and hear them discussing this internally to see what's the take on it. Because I mean, when it started to unfold, I couldn't believe it really. Because I don't know what kind of valid judgment he could have made that he thinks it would work in his interest to keep that a secret.
All right, Norman.
Thank you, Norman. We appreciate it. You know, we really need to chronicle, and I know that we were thinking of an attempt to do that, Ricardo. We need to chronicle, you know, this thing. When it started, when were the questions first posed to Mark Golding? What was his first response? What was his second response? And then when he finally caved, yeah?
And I'll tell you something, Tyrone. For me, the devastating part is we can't have one foot in the king's yard and one foot out.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. As somebody, and as somebody who, and this is why it's particularly disappointing for me, because as you know, and as the listener should know by now, I support the Caribbean Court of Justice. So when I heard Mr. Golding's position on it, I said, yes, that sounds reasonable to me. You can't leave the monarchy behind and retain the Privy Council. Now to learn what I learned this morning, it makes a mockery of everything he said.
Every single thing.
And that is what is disappointing for me. Because I took him at his word that this was a principled position. And now it's just been betrayed. It is not a principled position.
I never thought it was a principled position because and even though I don't have an issue with Jamaica breaking away from the Privy Council and removing it as its apex court, I don't have a problem with that. But I had a problem with Mark Golding removing the Privy Council as Jamaica's apex court and removing the king of head of state. Even though the two things are linked, I do not believe they're one and the same. Having a head of state that is Jamaican goes to who we are as a people. That is my point on that. But I was disappointed that he said he's prepared to stay. Yeah?
Yes.
And now we're finding out he's prepared to stay unless CCJ is implemented. And now it is being said that he's a British citizen. And I don't understand how people don't see what is wrong with that. He has failed the moral bar test on this matter.
Patrick, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Ricardo, and let me just say gentlemen because I don't want to miss no name.
It's Tyrone. It's Tyrone,
and yes, but let me just say gentlemen. That works so much better. I know that is a little bit of time, but I've been in the UK for 16 years now. Once you get your stay, you get leave to remain, and then after leave to remain, then you apply for citizenship. I am a citizen for 4 years now. Okay? When I try to fly from Jamaica to Germany to go to the UK, when I go to the Germany embassy in Kingston, they told me they can't give me a visa because I am married to a British person. So I was allowed to fly into Germany, but I couldn't go inside to Germany, just the airport. So I have to stay in the airport until my flight comes, right? Because I don't have a visa to go into Germany. All right. So when I listen to Mark Golding saying that he have a Jamaican passport and he have to apply for a visa to go to the U.S., that simply means that he did not make no declaration that he's a British citizen, and that is illegal. And you guys can check it out tomorrow. Once you have to declare what you are, and once you declare that you're a British citizen, right? Automatically they tell you don't need a visa because you have to use your British passport. So in that essence, where everybody is worried about it, saying, "Well, they will not give you a visa when you're a British citizen because you're not required to have one if you is a British citizen." You understand?
That's my understanding. That is my understanding, which is why I'm saying there are questions. I don't understand the statement.
So sorry about that. Sorry to chip in because the time is going. So when you applied for a visa for the U.S., they ask you if you have any other ties in any other countries. You have to declare that I am a citizen of this place or I'm a resident of that place. You have to put it on your application, and that they will make their decision on that part. So I don't know how comes he said he got a visa stamped into his Jamaican passport, even though you're not required to get one when you're a British citizen. So
I don't think he went as far as to say he had it in his passport. He says, like ordinary Jamaicans or like other people, he had to apply for visas from the U.S.
Yeah, but he's not no ordinary.
Again, he was carefully crafting his words, I think, to not say what needed to be said.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there's two things that I'm saying. There's some water into his argument. And the second one where everybody making a big deal out of it. You, the PNP, bring JLP to court because of dual citizenship. Now you have somebody on the PNP side with dual citizenship. Why everybody making a big deal for?
Not the same thing though. Not the same thing though, Carla. I don't think it's the same thing. And this is a matter I've raised with Ricardo as well. I don't think it's the same thing. The matter of being a dual citizen of a non-Commonwealth country is a separate issue because the law allows for you to be a member of parliament if you are a dual citizen and that citizenship resides with a member of the Commonwealth. It's just a part of Britain continuing its colonialism, right? It's so the Commonwealth. They're trying to preserve the Commonwealth. And their own importance, one would suppose, but that's a separate issue, though, Carla. If you are not a dual citizen of a Commonwealth country, it is in fact illegal for you to sit in Parliament, and if it's illegal, you can pursue that issue on the basis of that illegality. I think it's a separate issue.
So is Mr. Lexer, that guy from Portland that run for the PNP, wasn't he Canadian?
Yes.
That came up, yes.
But Canada is a Commonwealth, so I'm lost here. I am really lost.
I think in that case, the problem was that he did not have a Jamaican passport and had not applied to be a Jamaican citizen. That's my recollection.
Right, it wasn't just the Commonwealth, the Canadian.
I think at that time he was not a Jamaican citizen.
I don't recall the details myself.
That's my recollection.
I'm lost, brother. I'm lost. I don't know. Probably it's the rich and the privileged they can get any visa stamping any passport or whatever. Because I mean, if I try to, I still have my Jamaican passport, and even though when I'm going to the UK, I use my UK passport, and when I'm coming back into Jamaica, I use my Jamaican passport because I don't want you to treat me as a visitor to come in my own country. But I do have two passports, so I'm just confused. I'm down in the dumps.
We have to leave it there. We have to leave it there.
Thank you so much. We'll see where this one goes. But I think Mark Golding, and it is my simple view, that he has rendered himself unfit. I don't think he had ample opportunity to say what he finally said. And that raises questions of whether or not you can accept what is coming from an individual. It's a serious situation, I think.
Tyrone Reed, it's been good as always.
Ricardo Brooks, thank you so much, my good sir. It was great.
Anglia Bangle. Dana Davey, Andrew Glenn Anderson, Cara Powell, the entire news and production team. Thank you all so much. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tyrone Reed.
Good evening.